Wait a minute, why does Thursday today feel like Monday? Can I say I have a case of the Thursdays? I think I do. I got a case of the Thursdays. What the heck is going on here? All right, we'll figure it out. We got to tell you that we're live, asking the question of the day first.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you when I figure it out.
The security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For a safe and secure society.
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law.
No, you're not.
Fall down the thunder, well, now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and Hal's coming with me, you hear? Hal's coming with me!
All righty, our call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever hath been, kingdude, KINGDUDE, at mikechurch.com. And Crusader Stadium, Mike Church Show chat room online, troll-free chat room online at crusadechannel.com/chat. Welcome to the Revelation Gold Group studio here today on a Thursday. Things are going crazy today for some reason. Is anyone else having a... Is anyone else having a crazy Thursday? Well, thankfully we have a great guest. We have Frank Wright in the second hour of the broadcast today, and what he thinks it needs to be done to restore Britain. Look, I got to tell you, I was just doing a little blousing up and catching up on UK headlines today. This Sandy Burnham character, I think he's actually worse than Keir Starmer. You know, I think every iteration that they get away from, well, hell, every iteration that they get away from Margaret Thatcher. It's worse. How about no? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. And then now look how low my hand is on the video. No. Now it's below the bottom of the screen. They're going to have to, I'm going to ask Frank about this, and I think that they're 10 years ahead of us. I think they're about a decade ahead, maybe a little bit more, in Islamizing the UK. And I'm going to ask Frank about this. What are you guys going to do? This Burnham character is basically saying, oh, no, we're full speed ahead. You people that live in the suburbs of London that are moderately wealthy, you have to take Muslim immigrants in. You have to. You must accept the immigrants into your midst, especially if you're wealthy and well-to-do. It's what every good Englishman does. No, it's what every suicidal Englishman does. So we will talk about that. The fallout from the Hong defeat continues. You know, I wasn't paying a lot of attention to this winch. This woman was bat crazy. There was an article 2 days ago at the Federalist. I didn't read it because I didn't see it. Called Francesca Hong's DSA spurns what my Korean War vet grandfather sacrificed to give her. Instead of upholding what over 1.78 million Korean war vets fought to protect, Francesca Hong advocates to abolish the very systems of government that granted her family freedom and opportunity in this country. It's by Brooke Bronjian. It's an interesting. It's not interesting. It's how are these wacky people getting on the ballots? Sooner or later, some of them are going to win just by default, by accident. by a mis or mal-informed electorate going, oh, that's a pretty name. I think I'll vote for her. Like this James Tallarico creep in Texas. There's another lunatic. I mean, this is a man that is like carving himself a seat in the seventh level of hell, right next to Muhammad. Running around talking about how the Blessed Virgin Mary was the first abortion. She was the prototype for women to choose whether or not to kill their soon-to-be born child via abortion or not. You just can't say that. And then in the next breath, he said, well, as a Christian, I could tell this doing it because it's the first choice that was ever made. No, that wasn't a choice. So we have this wackiness. I wanted to tell you that yesterday I spent a little bit of time on this show, a significant amount of time, talking about Evan Barker, this young Democrat fundraiser whose book, Left Behind, is all the rage in some circles. And we talked about how, well, I just read you excerpts from the book of what was going on inside the Democrat Party. The ones that Dreher published, I only probably read to you or shared with you about a third. There's still a lot of stuff that she was saying that he excerpted from her book. And I actually went and ordered the book because I wanted to read it. So I went and looked her up. This is where we are politically. We're not a serious people. We're just not. So I went and looked her up to see if she was on X. She is on X. You can find her, Evan Barker, on X. I think she's actually at Evan Barker on X. And then I go to her X, and no, it's Evan WCH, EVANWCH. So I go to her, and she has a picture of... Okay, for all of you old school Red, White, and Dude Nation guys, tell me if Maggie can find her and show you on the screen.
What is she? I'm sorry.
It's EVANWCH. If you're looking at the header on her X account feed, all of you old school guys, tell me who the guy is at the top of the screen. You get 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. And the first thing I saw when I saw that, I went, oh, because I know who it is. I'm trying to understand the significance, and I don't get it. Maggie will tell me if anybody guesses it correctly. And in any event, so I go to her feed, and then she says that she has a Substack account. She's doing live video, and she's going to read and answer questions on her book. It's actually called Nothing Left, not Left Behind. Nothing Left: Confessions of a Democrat Operative. And then she'll do 2 chapters at a time, once a day for 2 weeks. So the video was on. So she linked to her Substack. So I went to the Substack. And the video pops up. I thought I was watching an OnlyFans video. Well, it was her. Absolutely was her. In a very revealing, very immodest state of dress, shall we say. And then she kind of settled in, and then that didn't become the subject of the rest of the video, but it was still kind of there. And so I'm thinking to myself, so you're not trying to present yourself as a professional media person, or you're not trying to get into professional media. You're trying to present yourself for the men that happened by your Substack as an OnlyFans gal, but just a smarter one and with a bit of an elevated pedigree, if you will.
They all dress like that, though.
Now, when you say Maggie O'Connell is saying, now
I'm saying that's just the state of today's women. That's how they dress. They run around in athletic wear, they call it, all the time. It's yoga pants, it's tank tops, it's sports bras. It's like they're going to the gym, but they never actually go to the gym.
This is a sports bra and biking shorts.
Yes.
That's what the outfit was. OnlyFans. I took it to mean all that. Now, wait a minute. And now, we have a new rule here on this show. It's called the Megyn Kelly producer rule. Now, when you go to speak, you have to tell me which producer number you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So I call on just to make sure that I call on the correct Megyn Kelly wannabe producer, okay? Because you have to do all 6 of Megyn Kelly's producers' roles. So you could be Maggie, radio audio producer. You could be Maggie, video producer. You could be Maggie, guest booker 1. It could be Maggie, guest booker 2. You could be Maggie, Megan's hair and makeup. You could be Maggie's gopher. So that's it. We're going to write these down in order, and we're going to give them to you. Megyn Kelly, producer. King Dude, Megyn Kelly, producer 3 here. It's funny because it's taken on a life of its own, because every piece of email or note that I get from anyone now that has you contained in it has some reference to Megyn Kelly's 6 producers. It's very funny. I am pleasantly amused by it. I think the audience is as well. This portion of the program brought to you by Cooking with the King Dude. Shop with us at shop.mikechurch.com for Cooking with the King Dude trilogy of seasonings and spices, your beast and butt rub, your chicken mamu, your Acadiana steak, and seafood seasoning. And don't forget your Cooking with the King Dude professional 2-pocket Mike Church worn and endorsed apron, cooking apron. So shop with us today in Cooking with the King Dude and all our spices, and then the kitchen utensils that are in the Louisiana merch store, all in the same store, though, shop.mikechurch.com. Is today Marco Rubio's birthday, or was yesterday Marco Rubio?
No, it was a while back.
Okay, it was a while back. Okay, it was just so it was a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Trump administration is still not getting very many things right. As a matter of fact, there's a poll out. I didn't see it myself, but it is a Economist YouGov. Now, these are internet polls, and they're not worth a snot. But since they've thrown the Economist in on it, this is at least an attempt to try and make the poll, legitimate. Not that any poll ever is. So I only use them just as a basis for things to talk about. Approval and disapproval of Trump's job performance. Now, yesterday on the political contributor round, the program, the last segment, Magdalene Rose and I talked about, is it possible for Trump to save his presidency? As a matter of fact, is it possible for Trump to save his presidency, save the House, and save the Senate for the midterms for the stupid party? And it is. But they're probably not going to do it. Because in order to pull this off, you have to correct the horrific mistake that has been made that is called the war in Iran. Anyway, I'll come back to that. So in talking with Magdalene about this, and I'll tell you what the things are that I think that they could do to fix this. But I don't think there's a Congress in our future that's going to fix any of this. So you and I are all off the that reservation to begin with, and we need to talk more about it, and we will as this day and every day unfolds. Approval and disapproval of Trump's job performance. So you can find it, Maggie. Let me send you the link. It's on X. You can find it on X. Practically everything is on X now. Do any of you ever make the god-awful mistake of blousing over and finding yourself on this horrid media outlet called Blue Sky?
No.
I did once, and And I don't even remember how I got there. And I'm blasting around going like, what in the wide world of sports is going on? These people are crazy.
That's for libtards.
Oh, it's beyond libtards. These people are social. No, these people are communists and Mohammedans. Okay. Back to the poll. Strongly or somewhat approve, not sure. Strongly or somewhat disapprove of Trump's job performance. Taken August 7th through the 10th, so it's recent. Okay. So if you go by party, strongly approve, Democrats 4%. Now get this, Republicans 79% strongly approve. Bull. Now, let me give you a caveat on that. If you listen to Polly and the Don the other day, I think the Don made a pretty salient point. And I said I was going to rebroadcast it yesterday, but I couldn't because Reconquest is already scheduled for that slot on Wednesdays. But it will run today at 10, I promise. When this show's over, Polly and the Don pilot episode will run. The Don said something that I thought was, because Polly said something about, well, you know, people that he knows and Republicans, conservatives by and large, have checked out of MAGA and they don't approve of Trump any longer. And the Don said, yeah, but you're talking to people that are spending their lives on X, which is not reality. They're in a ecosphere bubble. And maybe in that group, yeah, you're going to get a certain vibe or certain answers out of it. But if you were to just go out and leave X and go to where you think conservative people or MAGA people hang out and go X them similar questions, you're going to, oh no, Trump's doing great. Now, I'm going to hedge that a little bit because of my Independence Day experience. There were no Trump flags this year. Last year, the Chafuncta River, where I live, where the celebration is, was coated with Trump flags. This year, none.
0.0.
So supposedly 79% American Republicans say Trump, they strongly approve of the job that Trump is doing. Here's the key one, though, independents, 18%. Out here in America, Larry, where the rubber meets the road. And I think that he was elected by a majority, a pretty significant majority of independents. I don't think independents went for Kamala Harris. So to see that number that puts the whole thing in perspective. So the left and the middle of the United States completely gone. They're off the MAGA reservation. The only thing that the only group that remains are the far right brainwashed, Fox News watchers and those types. This is not a good situation, and it's not going to end well, I don't think. We should talk about it. You're listening to the Mike Church Show and the Ethics and Broadcasting Network, wherever you might find yourself listening, including on our amazing terrestrial radio station network, 990 AM WGSO in New Orleans and 1010 WXKG in Atlanta. And thanks to all of you that are checking us out and listening on the terrestrial radio stations. And this portion of the program also brought to you by Haberdash Department at shop.mikechurch.com. Haberdash includes T-shirts, ball caps, and button-down red cap shirts. It's not just neckties like the one I have on today, which is available. You can get this very tie in the haberdashery at shop.mikechurch.com. What else do we have in headlines here today? This is interesting. Hateful Hochul, Satan's apostle, just flipped off Moron Zoran Kami Mamdamani. She went like, you wouldn't have anything if it weren't for me, and I don't care what you think. I'm giving these people $7 million. Where do these people get these chick governors? I tell you, it's going to be the end of us. White American women are going to be responsible for Murricicide. That's a new one. That's a neologism, Murricicide. For the United States killing itself, or for the people of some people of the U.S. killing itself. We got a lot to talk about, and we'll do it when we come back on the other side of this time out here. So, lock it in. Frank Wright's with us next hour. You're not going to want to miss it. Wake up, Granny. Spank her on the fanny and tell her the good news. Frank Wright is back.
When you get home to a darkened house, you turn on the lights. When you go out into the fallen, darkened world that most of America has become, turn on the Mike Church Show.
Hey, folks, Mike Church here.
And let the Red, White, and Dude Nation light the way for you.
Hey, we guarantee it works a lot better than that little Levite lightning bug, Ben Shapiro.
I've sentenced boys younger than you to the gas chamber.
Hop into your guilt-free ride into MAGACon-free conservatism.
On the Mike Church Show.
Hey, it's time for another Cooking with the King Dude Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tip. Pour 1/2 cup beast and butt rub into 1/2 cup brown sugar. Combine the two thoroughly and then put that into a shaker. Now you have the sweetest and spiciest barbecue seasoning on the market. So your wife, who loves sweet, and your Uncle Bobo, who loves butt kicking spicy, are both satisfied with your barbecue, and to them, you are a beast and butt rub Beast Mode champion. Get more of my Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tips and your beast and butt rub today at shop.mikechurch.com. In 1983, ZZ Top made the song and it was true from the time that song came out till around 2010, when girls stopped going crazy over a sharp-dressed man because men stopped dressing sharply. Cargo shorts, flip-flops, and tank tops became all the rage for men's public casual wear, to say nothing of how they dressed for mass. Well, as my listeners and viewers know, there's hardly anything more important to me than being a sharp-dressed man. And to help you become one, I'm introducing the official necktie of the Mike Church Show, Proselytize, whose designs are not only striking, they're 100% Catholic. You will look fantastic and like a sharp-dressed Catholic man in your Proselytize neckties. Available now in the Mike Church Show haberdashery at shop.mikechurch.com. Shop for ties, caps, t-shirts, and much more in the Mike Church Show haberdashery at shop.mikechurch.com.
What's your idea of an oasis of sanity? As things go more insane in this messed up world, maybe it's time you consider that question. Join us in Richmond, New Hampshire this October 9th and 10th for St. Benedict Center's annual conference. Our theme will be Oases of Sanity in the 21st Century. This is Brother Andre Marie of Reconquest. Join Charles Colomb, Commander John Sharp, C.J. Doyle, Jeb Smith, Sisters Maria Filomena, Anne Marie Gabrielle, and me for thoughtful discussion and fortifying Catholic camaraderie. Go to Catholicism.org/conference, Catholicism.org/conference.
Hey, it's the King Dude. You know, I've spent my life and career in broadcasting building relationships with listeners and relationships with clients. And I'm here to tell you that it's rare that I find an advertising client that specializes in building those very same relationships with my listeners. Now, this client deals in one of the most important items you can currently buy. That's why I'm happy and proud to introduce Revelation Gold Group as the official precious metal supplier to the Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation. You have a choice in what to listen to and have a choice in where to buy your precious metals. Well, you've chosen the right radio show. Now, choose the right precious metal supplier and go with Revelation Gold Group at mikechurch.com/gold. Start building a precious metal relationship that benefits you and your family for many, many years to come with Revelation Gold Group at mikechurch.com/gold.
The Mike Church Show has some
Princess Bride themed advice for the MAGA cons now running the Trump administration.
Ha! You fool! You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia.
The Mike Church Show.
A daily beacon of chivalry and peace.
On the Red, White, and Dude Nation.
The antidote for repetitive AI-generated, ridiculous, stupid, demonic background noise that passes for radio these days. It is I, the King Dude, Mike Church, here with you on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network on a Thursday. This portion of the program brought to you by, got a great event coming up next Wednesday. It's Sister Marie Gabrielle, How to Save the World. Now, which producer is hosting that? Because it's me and Maggie O'Connell are the host and hostess. So that'll just be producer number one. Come out and join us at the Lions Club in Mandeville, in downtown Mandeville. It's on Lion Street. You can go to mikechurch.com/sister, and it'll take you directly to the event. You can RSVP today, find out where it is, get a map, the whole thing. The event starts at 6 next Wednesday night, so that's 6 days. And great excuse to come to New Orleans, or if you live on the South Shore, to drive to the North Shore for that event. And the sisters will begin with they'll sing the rosary. Sister Marie Gabrielle will give her talk, How to Save the World, which you're going to love. I've heard it. It's a really good one. And then question and answer with all of us. And it'll be a great time. What a great way to spend a Wednesday evening next Wednesday at the Lions Club. Sister Marie Gabrielle, and How to Save the World. It's free. Don't cost nothing. Everyone is invited. Everybody, Shrek. Men, women, and childrens. And yes, you can wake up Granny and spank her on the fanny, tell her the good news that Sister Marie Gabrielle's in town and she can come too. Next Wednesday at the Lions Club in Mandeville. So look it up, and you can find out more information. And please RSVP at mikechurch.com/sister. Yeah, here's a story I'm going to talk to Frank Wright about. UK Prime Minister says wealthier areas must house illegal immigrants. We'll come back to this. Let me go back to what I was talking about with the Trump administration last segment. And the fact that some people in it, like Marco Rubio and RFK Jr., have managed to maintain their senses of humor and haven't all just jumped off the ship yesterday. You know, the big story today, supposedly, that we're all supposed to be talking about is that Caroline Leavitt is no longer White House, or is no longer going to be White House press secretary. Now, the report that I read said she resigned.
She did.
So I think that that's just a formal way of saying that she wanted, that she had enough. The timing, though, as you're heading into the midterms, and then she's going to, what? And she got a baby.
She just had a baby, and she's got a.
Which producer is this now?
Oh goodness, I don't care. 2, 3, 4. I don't care.
All right.
She just had a baby, and she's been being bashed all over social media because she's technically calls herself conservative, but she's got 2 small children under the age of 2, and she's working full time. So yeah, she wants to stay at home and take care of her babies. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I didn't say that there is anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that it may have also factored in that she doesn't want to be around when the ship starts to take on water in the forward watertight compartments of the Titanic.
No, because she's still. Well, no, because
all right, this is Maggie 4.
She actually said she was still going to stay on with the Trump administration in a different role, just not the full-time position that she currently has.
Can you imagine what the workload then must be like?
It's insane.
What must be required to be the White House press secretary? Now, look, they asked me, and I told them no. So, if you're wondering, did they? Yes, of course they asked the king, dude. And I'm like, dude, guys, I'm busy. I got 3.5, 4 hours a day I got to do on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network. I got to run the business outside of that, creating amazing content for everyone. I'd love and thank President Trump for offering it to me, but I'm just not going to be able to do it this go around. But thank you so much. It's a hell of a job. You know. All right, Mrs. O'Connell, let's flesh this out just for a second here. What is it that you say as a producer is your primary job?
My primary job is to make the host look good.
Yes. And since your host is me, it's not hard.
24/7 gig.
It's the easiest gig she ever had to make me look good. I'm kidding. What then is the White House spokesbabe's job? to make the president look good. Now, I'm not one of these people that believes that you get a separate confessional for your work sins and your private life sins. A sin is a sin. So I think that you should act all Catholic and stuff, no matter where you are. It doesn't matter the time of day. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter the group that you're with. You're Catholic. You're Catholic. And you don't get a pass because you entered the workforce or you went out. Well, I just did it for my job. I only committed that sin because it was my job. That's when you become a conscientious objector and you go, what's my question? I think this sucks. I'm not going to do it. What do you mean you think it sucks? Yeah, this is horribly offensive, and I'm not going to do it. So, and it's sinful, so you can't make me do it. Being asked to mislead the public is part of that job. You literally have to go and try and convince people that no, I've seen the internals. I know what's going on here. This is what the truth is, and I'm going to relay it to you, and then I'm going to defend it. What kind of a job? That's a thankless, and it's going to wind you up in hot water with God. It's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for your soul. It's not going to be good for your intellect. And maybe something like this starts to wear on someone like Caroline as well. You know, it never seemed to bother KJP, Corinna Jean-Pierre. She's got out there and lied with abandon. But I think that was because she was consciously, she was attempting, and she lived her life basically by a code or a creed that she didn't want to know what was really going on with Joe Biden. You know, when they wheeled him out and they doped him up with the AC stuff, and he looked like he was coherent and lucid and whatnot, that's all she needed to know. Oh, no, I saw him yesterday. He's fine. I think that she really had convinced herself and was not going to allow reality and any evidence any evidence to the contrary in that could counter that. Now, is someone like Caroline Leavitt capable of doing that? To me, I mean, that's a game face, right? You know, these professional athletes all say they have routines. They have mental routines that they go through before a big game or a big match or whatever the case may be. Like pro golfers have a routine that they go through before they hit every shot. Because one shot difference could cost you a couple of $1 million. So it's probably part of the routine. It's not a good routine. You know, the first White House spokesman that I can remember, and I wasn't paying attention, and we didn't have cable TV, not like we had today during the Reagan administration. So the first one that I can remember, and I would catch it on C-SPAN, was President Bush's last spokesman, Marlin Fitzwater. And Marlin Fitzwater, I always thought was like was the twin of Peter Boyle, who played Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein. He was a comedy actor. He's really funny. I always saw Marlin Fitzwater was Peter Boyle. But then I can remember them all after that. George Quacadopoulos, Stephanie Myers, Dana Perino for Bush, Ari Fleischer, Obama. Oh gosh, who was there were a couple that Obama had, and they were all horrible. But with Caroline leaving here, that's a difficult position to replace, and that's somebody that's a team player.
He had Robert Gibbs, Jay Carney.
Robert Gibbs. Oh. He was horrible. You talk about somebody that internalized the lie? Robert Gibbs. Oh, my Lord. Then there was Jay Carney. And then Josh Ernst. And then Trump had, of course, Sean Spicer And then somebody in between Sean Spicer, and then release the McEnany. And then Kayleigh McEnany, who we know is a professional propagandist now because that's what she does for a living on Fox. And then, of course, you had Biden and you had Peppermint Patty, forget her, Peppermint Zaki, and then KJP. No, there was a man in, but no, she handed it to Karine Jean-Pierre. And then, but she didn't finish it. There was somebody else that finished for KJP. And then, of course, you have Caroline Leavitt. We have a government now that has to have people go out and lie for it officially. There's something wrong with that. It's just something that's just not right about that. So in any event, Caroline Leavitt is out. I'm wondering, I saw in the rumor mill that Scott Jennings may be one of the people that would be asked to do it. Now, if the president asks you, you're supposed to be an honorable person and say, yes, well, I accept the honor and I'll be the dude. Scott, don't do it. Don't do it because you will forever now then be one of them.
They're saying it's Elena Haba is in the running, Rachel Campos Duffy, we actually like her, Scott Jennings, and Matthew Boyle.
I wonder if Matthew Boyle is related to Peter Boyle. Okay, now of all those that could internalize that and could play the role, give it to me again: Scott Jennings, Lana Haba, Matthew Boyle, and
Rachel Campos.
Rachel Campos Duffy is out. Don't you dare ruin her. She's too good of a Catholic, too good of a mom, too good of a wife. Don't you dare ruin her. Trump, you keep your hands off of Rachel Campos Duffy. No, I'm withdrawing her name. Scott Jennings, you're a media guy, and you're savvy enough. He's certainly savvy enough to do it. And I could see him standing up. It's going to be Scott Jennings. They're going to give it. It's either going to be Jennings or, you know what, though? The Matthew Boyle guy, what's his pedigree? I don't know anything about this dude.
He's with Breitbart.
Oh, he's with Breitbart. Well, he's good at lying.
Breitbart News is Washington bureau chief.
And which Maggie was that? Which producer was that?
Number 5.
Producer number 5 in the house. Elena Haba is no shrinking violet, though. You know, she was his attorney in one of those cases. I think it was the Maltitia James case in New York. She was his attorney, and she'd come out and she'd speak every day. You know what? She's also a devout Catholic, Elena Haba. She introduces herself at Trump events of, hi, I'm Elena Haba. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a Catholic. So don't do it, Elena. You'll have to lie. You'll have to lie and apologize and be a spokesbabe for war. Don't do it. It's going to be Scott Jennings. He's the only one to me that makes sense. Okay. And I think that it's fascinating that we have this kind of like derby to see who's going to do it. You're basically saying who's going to be the White House propagandist. I'm the White House. Okay, that's what you call yourself. The rest of us call you the White House propagandist. You know, this is driving me bonkers. So maybe somebody here on the Mike Church Show, by the way, this portion of the program brought to you by, or not brought to you by, I just want to remind you that you're listening to the Ethics and Broadcasting Network and our amazing terrestrial radio network out there, including New Orleans, Louisiana, 990 AM WGSO, and 1010 AM WXKG, The King in Atlanta. Welcome to all of you out there, wherever you're listening. Tell your radio station program director that they should pick up America's Morning Show, the Mike Church Show, and we'll keep adding to that list of stations. I ran across a site yesterday. Now, when I'm not in here hosting this show, there's lots of things that I have to do.
Eating bonbons.
Okay, that's producer number. That's not producer number 6. That's wife number 1 that just spoke. Eating bonbons. We don't even have any bonbons. Before I was so rudely interrupted, I am working on the reissue of, because it wasn't done perfectly the first go around, of the Mike Church Show Band's anthology. Now, this is a collection of the 64 parody songs and comedy bits dating all the way back to 1993. The first bit on the record or on the download is the Butch Club, for example. That's 1993. And there was a book that went along with it. It was me describing and trying to tell the story of how the band came about and how maybe some anecdotes on how did this song come about, that we wrote, or that I wrote, rather, and that Jim and Alan and Jennifer and Ashley and all the great people that worked on the songs, how we put them together. So, I read what I wrote back in 2013, and I'm reading it going like, okay, this needs a serious retreatment. So I filled in like 23 pages already of stuff that if you did read it, and I think like 80 people got the book the first time around, we're shooting for 500 this go around. But if you read it the first go around, you haven't, like a Buckman Turner Overdrive song, you ain't seen nothing yet. So I'm going and I read one chapter at a time, and I go, okay, what else happened? And I try to remember, and I got an old computer that I go to, and it sparks my memory. I go, oh yeah, I remember that. And then I add more context and more content to the book. So it was going to go from 150 some odd pages to 100 and probably 200 when it's finished. In any event, I took a break, and I'm browsing around the house, and I have this in my hand, my dumb phone. And so I go get a bonbon, as Maggie said, and I'm munching on the bonbon, and I hit my Twitter feed, and something pops up, and I go, oh, that's interesting. So I tapped on it, and it was a website, and and I'm scrolling through it, and I'm going like, this is really provocative, I thought. And then my attention was needed elsewhere. Something didn't fire, or I had to go do something. And so I put the phone down. And then when I came back, the page that I was on, which was Inside X, was gone. Either that, or I decided I needed to check something else, and I exited out. And it's forever lost to the sands of time. But one of you sent it to me. So if this is you, please resend it. Or retweet it or whatever. It was a website that was talking about the U.S. Constitution and about how we had given it the old college try, but that the Constitution is not going to survive us, to this generation. And it's time to admit it, and then time to, like reasonable adults, figure out what to do next, and to start forming groups and alliances. Now, coincidentally, I had talked about a couple of weeks ago committees of correspondence. Nobody took me up on it. No one wants to do the heavy lifting, the hard labor that is figuring this kind of stuff out, because it's thankless work. You're not going to get thanked for it. You're probably not going to wind up in a history book, and if you do, you might wind up on the wrong side of the history book. You might wind up a Cristero. Which is fine. It's just fantastic. You got a great place in heaven. But in this world, you won't be remembered as having saved your republic. Well, maybe that really is the operative way to think about this. You can have a republic that has, as Brother Andre Marie says, that recognizes canon law and doesn't violate it. And then have bishoprics or bishops always there to remind you, don't do it. We see the cases of what has happened in Massachusetts, and people are demanding to know. Now there's a lot of people that are ringing the phones off the hook of the three archdioceses in Boston, and they're angry. Catholics are angry, and they want to know, Your Excellency, what are you going to do about this? Are you going to issue a statement? Are you going to excommunicate Maura Healey? Well, it's not just Maura Healey. As Joe Doyle pointed out, 70 some odd members of the Massachusetts Assembly who were Catholics voted for it. This, to me, everyone that's looking at this from the pro-life point of view, God bless you, and that's fine. Because it is an issue of life. But at the end of the day, if the church is where she is supposed to be, doing what Christ charged her with doing, it never happens. It just doesn't. And heaven only knows how many babies, how many future citizens of Massachusetts, and of whatever this union looks like in 10 years or 20 years when they would become adults, are going to be born instead of being slaughtered in their mother's womb. Now, this is the perspective and the way to think about this. That what entity on earth, don't say a court, what entity on earth, it's not a political question, could possibly have stopped the day of birth, abortion, legalized abortion or murder bill? The church? If you can answer that question, and I just gave you the answer, then why aren't we approaching everything with the same attitude and design? If we acknowledge and we admit that the church is the only entity that could have stopped that, would have stopped it, never even would have come up, then why aren't we talking about how to restore or install the church in our sovereign political public affairs, civic affairs, if you will, to be on equal, and when they come into conflict, superior coexistence with the state? Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get, some of you are angry at this, and angry at me, right? Yes, we're going to have a conflict. It's got to be secular. Don't you tell me, you leave your religion out of my politics. Let me tell you something, buddy. They interjected their satanic, demonic, pagan religion into your politics 100 and some odd years ago, and you did nothing. And you're still doing nothing about it. Well, the time to throw the pagans out is now. Now, we're told that this will take generations. This is going to take hundreds of years. Okay, maybe. St. Patrick did it in less than a generation. Ireland went from human sacrifice, some of it babies, to being the Emerald Isle of Catholic saints in his lifetime. So maybe it was because he was the type that led and said what I just said, the obvious. We need to recruit more. If you agree with me, well, then we need to recruit more me's. And the number of people that are saying this needs to grow. Frank Wright will say it.
Some of the best things on earth come in threes.
That's right, Lee. There's the Three Stooges.
And then there's the Cajun cooking trinity of onions, bell peppers, and celery.
And of course, guys, there's the Holy Trinity.
Now, I'm not comparing my Trinity to the Holy Trinity, but I guarantee you, my Trinity of homemade small batch rubs can put a heavenly smile on your taste buds. And all three come with my 100% money-back guarantee. If you don't love and think that my Trinity of beast and butt rub, chicken mamu, and Acadiana steak seasoning aren't the best and most essential spices in your arsenal, I'll buy them back from you.
It may not be holy, King Dude, but that's the best spice and rub deal on this side of heaven.
Order Mike Church's set of Trinity rubs and save big at MikeChurch.com/rub. That's one bottle each of beast and butt rub, chicken mamu lemon herb seasoning, and Acadiana steak seasoning for one low price and the King Dude's money back guarantee. Order today at MikeChurch.com/rub.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena. Is your home an oasis of sanity? Where do you find peace? Join us in Richmond, New Hampshire this October 9th and 10th for our annual conference as we consider Oases of Sanity in the 21st Century. Connect with Mike Church, Charles Coulombe, Brother Andre Marie, Commander John Sharp, C.J. Doyle, Jeb Smith, Sister Marie Gabrielle, and myself for thoughtful discussion and fortifying Catholic camaraderie at St. Benedict Center. Register now by going to Catholicism.org/conference. That's Catholicism.org/conference.
Atlanta. You've heard the rest. Now, listen to the best news talk radio. AM 1010. The King.
When you hear the noon bells tolling, it's time for Angelus, brought to you by the Crusade Channel.
Membership has its privileges.
American Express was right back in the 1970s. Membership has its privileges, and no membership privilege is greater to a Red, White, and Dude Nation listener than membership in the elite membership club that is the Dude Number. Here's Lee to tell you how to get yours.
That's right, King Dude. Membership does have its privileges. And when it comes to the Dude Number, applying for membership has never been easier. Just head to mikechurch.com/dude to start the membership process. Your unique and one-of-a-kind membership and all the privileges that come with it awaits you. As a member, you'll enjoy private chat groups, VIP privileges to all Mike Church show events, early access to new Dude-geared store items, and of course, your unique Dude Number.
I'm Jeff Johnson, and I'm Dude number 1313.
This is Ambassador for the Red, White, and Dude Nation, number 2004. Not just a membership, it's a correctly oriented state of mind.
Hi, this is Steve, or Dude number 2112. I've been a Mike Church listener since August of 2015.
This is Dude 1210, proud member of the Red, White, and Dude Nation, and listener since 2013.
Become a part of something bigger than any talk show there is and apply for your Dude Number today at mikechurch.com/dude.
What's your idea of an oasis of sanity? As things go more insane in this messed up world, maybe it's time you consider that question. Join us in Richmond, New Hampshire this October 9th and 10th for St. Benedict Center's annual conference. Our theme will be Oases of Sanity in the 21st Century. This is Brother Andre Marie of Reconquest. Join Charles Coulombe, Commander John Sharp, C.J. Doyle, Jeb Smith, Sisters Maria Philomena, Anne Marie Gabrielle, and me for thoughtful discussion and fortifying Catholic camaraderie. Go to Catholicism.org/conference, Catholicism.org/conference.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-313-7757. 800-313-7757. 800-313-7757. That's 800-313-7757.
To get these low rates. When you hear the noon bells tolling, it's time for Angelus, brought to you by the Crusade Channel.
Hey folks, Mike Church here. You know, when I was a little cheerins, I remember loving the old Dunkin' Donuts TV spot. You know, the one with the guy who got up at 3 a.m. mumbling to himself as he went out the door and then back in his front door.
Time to make the donut.
Well, fast forward 46 years, and now I'm the guy waking up at 3 a.m., mumbling to myself as I go in the studio door, then back out. Time to make the radio. I made the radio. I made the radio. But I have a secret weapon the Dunkin' Donut dude didn't have. Mike Church's Capuchin Holy Roast coffee in whole bean or ground. Our fresh, aromatic, gourmet coffee is made from 100% fair trade beans, freshly imported, roasted by my friend Kyle and his daughter at the Abita Roasting Company, then delivered to you so fresh your kitchen will smell like a barista shop. Good. So, whenever you arise to take on the day and listen to the Mike Church Show, do it the Red, White, and Dude Nation way by brewing up a fresh pot of Capuchin Holy Roast or my all-new Capuchin Holy Roast New Orleans blend coffee and chicory at shop.mikechurch.com. In 1983, ZZ Top made the song and it was true from the time that song came out till around 2010, when girls stopped going crazy over a sharp-dressed man because men stopped dressing sharply. Cargo shorts, flip-flops, and tank tops became all the rage for men's public casual wear, to say nothing of how they dressed for mass. Well, as my listeners and viewers know, there's hardly anything more important to me than being a sharp-dressed man. And to help you become one, I'm introducing the official necktie of the Mike Church Show, Proselytize, whose designs are not only striking, they're 100% Catholic. You will look fantastic and like a sharp-dressed Catholic man in your Proselytize neckties. Available now in the Mike Church Show haberdashery at shop.mikechurch.com. Shop for ties, caps, t-shirts, and much more in the Mike Church Show haberdashery at shop.mikechurch.com.
Holding a PhD at the King Dude Center for Constitutional Studies.
The Mike Church Show.
Delivering over 180 minutes of teleprompter-free entertainment.
Wisdom and knowledge.
Every single day.
Oh, come on, Captain. You're not the first man to get a thrill from murdering someone. I see it all the time.
Get out!
Or what? You'll kill me? Like you killed Ensign Lynch?
There was no way to save him.
You didn't even try. Where was your involved sensibility then?
I don't have time for this.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your little quest. Captain Ahab has to go hunt his whale.
This is not about revenge.
Liar!
This is about saving the future of humanity.
Jean-Luc, blow up the damn ship!
No! No! I will not sacrifice the Enterprise. We've made too many compromises already, too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther. I will make them pay for what they've done.
The Generalissimo of the Airborne 1776, conducting special operation battles on land, sea, and on air. Mike Church here with you, what every podcaster wants to be when they grow up. Coming to you live from the Capuchin Holy Roast Studio here on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network on a Thursday. You're just 20-some-odd minutes away, and Frank Wright will join us. Actually, I see Frank is hanging out. Frank has no idea what we have in store for him, and you people have no idea what I have in store for you. This portion of the program brought to you by Dude Nation memberships. Get your membership today at mikechurch.com/join, and you can take a 30-day free trial. Don't cost nothing. 30 days free at MikeChurch.com/join, and just you select the bronze option, and when you get to the checkout, say, hey, give me my 30-day free trial, and we'll fork it over. So there you go, MikeChurch.com/join. You get so much out of it. You get the troll-free chat room, which, by the way, I am in the troll-free chat room today at MikeChurch.com/chat. Wishing Clark a happy birthday today. So, MikeChurch.com/join. Let's do some digital media files while we have the time, this segment here. I was talking about this earlier. Let me just finish the thought. So, yeah, if you want to ask a question, it's a great time to go to crusadechannel.com/chat, because I'm actually in there. We were talking earlier about how for his birthday, the President Trump gave Marco Rubio a poster that was a collage, basically, of all the memes that they have made about him and the various roles that he, looks like Marco Rubio is going to be the new coach of the San Antonio Spurs or whatever. What was the latest one that does he have a WNBA one? Oh.
I don't know if he has a WNBA one, but RFK Jr. did the one with him being Aladdin on a Pop-Tart.
Now, which producer number was that? Megyn Kelly's got 6 producers. You have to announce yourself. It's a new thing since Maggie does the job of all 6 of Megyn Kelly's producers. But in any event, there is some, and this is just, it's good to see because I don't want Trump to fail, and neither do you. None of you want him to actually fail. So, and you don't want America to fail. Now, I think that ship has probably sailed. But you know what? As long as you have the next day, you have hope. Well, no, as long as you have today.
He does have the WNBA. He's got the boat.
you have hope. So they made him this poster of all his different memes, and he actually signed it. Oh, there is a WNBA with the bow on his head. And then RFK Jr. made the Pop-Tart one with the Aladdin. There was something to be said that at least these people haven't gone completely crazy, and they're not angry, because you don't want people going mad who have access to power. And that's just, that's just kind of what I'm saying there about that. That, what you're saying, no, I'm not saying it. I'm not, it's not. Oh, so it's a good thing that they're happy, that they're whistling Dixie, that they're fiddling while Rome burns? Yes, what I said. Having said that, and giving you the poll numbers from last hour, and giving what I talked about at the end of the last segment, how do you propose to save the republic? Now, what I think that somebody who thinks that they actually have that this can actually be done I think it should be required of you that you actually state. All right, tell me how. Because you can't go like, well, we just need to get back to no. Give me certain things. Now, I think that it's very likely that this were to happen, it would happen organically. Now, to that end, play the digital media file from Mike Rowe and Ethan Thornton. Okay, I want to take you back here in the King Dude's Wayback Machine. Let me take you back to January and February of 2025. And when, Trump 2.0 is out, Doge is full steam ahead, executive orders are flying out of the White House, DEI is being brought to an end, USAID is being crushed. There are good things that are happening, and don't deny that there were good things that were happening. There were bad things that were happening, too. The AI CEOs being brought to the White House and giving away the farm to them was a horrible event. But let's just stick with the subject here. Remember me telling you when Trump was going, we're going to create so many new jobs. It's going to be, no one's ever going to see anything like it's going to be so many jobs. We're even going to create a job for Riley Gaines and for Tucker, even though they're losers. What did I tell you in those early months? What was the key to this revival, this renaissance, if you will? Productivity. Remember me telling you that when people are going, we can't fix this, we can't fix that, we can't do this and we can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. Remember me telling you that if there's one thing that we know pretty much for certain here, and we have it here in the United States, and they don't have it pretty much and anywhere else in the world. Now maybe there's some places where they have it, but what is it that we have that they and the rest of the world don't have, and we still do have it? It is the freedom to fire up, refire the great American manufacturing base. And remember me telling you that, well, here's how you're going to do this, and here's how you can win, because we can do things that they can't. Well, you just can't go back to manufacturing something in 3 years. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You can go back to manufacturing in 1 year. And this will be accomplished by gains in productivity. Gains in productivity. That's how it will come about. And if there's anyone that can do it, we can do it. And I still think that it's possible. And I still think that it's actually going to happen. It may not happen as 50 contiguous states, but I think it's going to happen. And this is what this kid, Ethan Thornton, tells Mike Rowe. I'm listening to it going, I'm like, that's what I said. Here, play Ethan Thornton.
Our job is not to win a war against China. It is to be able to win a war against China such that we can deter a war with China.
The minute you send any of these things into the fray, they're going to be captured, they're going to be duplicated, they're going to be autopsied. Yep. Now it's back to manufacturing. If the innovation and the associated tech can be replicated that quickly, isn't that bringing us back to a basic manufacturing challenge? Who has more?
I think it's who has more faster. So I don't think it's scale manufacturing. I think it's flexibility of that manufacturing. So the thing we see in Ukraine is that the assets that are winning that war change every 3 to 6 months. Specifically in the context of defense, the most important thing is speed. The most important thing is speed. If I can develop a product faster than the adversary, even if they watch me develop it and they can't replicate that, and by the time they do replicate that, I have a countermeasure out, that's the best way to win.
Assuming we agree that it's the right solution, how many should you have stockpiled?
A lot. But I don't think it's as much as people think. You need the stockpile of the right thing. The Shahed is this Iranian triangle that China copied, that the U.S. has copied, that Russia has copied, that Ukraine has copied. China will make, if they wanted to, they could make 100 million Shaheds a month. If we make it a pure scaled manufacturing problem, China will win. The two things America continues to have the advantage on are innovation, specifically taste on what the next big product will be. And one Shahed can be taken down by something about 10 times cheaper if that thing is architected correctly. So if China's stockpiling Shaheds, you better stockpile that thing, but you can spend 10 times less. And that's critical for us to do so.
You've weighed and measured the geopolitical manufacturing capabilities and concluded that there's just no way we're going to catch up. So we have to out-innovate.
And I want to be clear. I think in 2 decades, we are moving more atoms than China. And I don't think you achieve that by making China move fewer atoms. I deeply believe in innovation as the means of fixing America's manufacturing problem. In the absolute near term, as you talk about hardened military power, I think the goal needs to be asymmetry through innovation. And that's really what I found in Mach to do out of the gate.
I think that it can be done. He said in 2 decades, you'll be manufacturing more than China. This kid was an MIT student.
He dropped out at the age of 19 because he said MIT was stifling him. So he's now 22 and he owns a company called Mach Industries.
Yes. So, and I think that this is instructive here. There's a couple of things going on. Number one is entrepreneurship. Number two is independence. And number 3 is innovation. and you combine those things and put it into a cauldron like the United States, as long as you can keep freedom of association and the freedom to construct and to build, and as I was saying in January and February of 2025, the key to the whole thing and the restoration is gains in productivity. The Chinese conscript their workers. Again, the Chinese productivity is going to become because they reverse engineered something and stole it from us. It's not going to come because the Chinese worker innovated and went, boss-san, I figure out a new way to make a chair much better and a factory go much faster. You give me raise now. And boss-san say, now, I come in and you get back to work. Not going to happen in China. They do not have the political, social, or moral infrastructure for that kind of a system. Now, again, they can steal it. That's what Mike Rowe was saying. You put this out in the wild and bammo, they steal it. But they can't make it. That's the difference. So, is there... there was a company called New Corp. I'm going to give you an American example from Jim Collins' great book, which you can get at shop.mikechurch.com. Good to great. There's a company called New Corp. It was a steel manufacturing concern, and they were operating on the old model of Bethlehem Steel, U.S. Steel, the big factories in Pennsylvania, Ohio, the Rust Belt. And in the late 1960s, early 1970s, they were losing market share, and their business was beginning to contract. Things weren't looking for New Corp. New Corp brought in or promoted from within someone who was in their ranks. He was an executive, and they made him CEO. I can't remember his name, but Collins tells the story in the book, Good to Great. And he went in and he goes like, "We're thinking about this all wrong. We got to find a new way to make steel and to make it the New Corp way." And so they set about working at it. It took New Corp 10 years, or 8 years rather, for their hedgehog concept, what Collins calls the hedgehog concept, to finally come to fruition. And then when they pulled the trigger on it, bammo. And the rest of the world started paying attention to going like, "Hey man, what is New Corp doing?" And what New Corp did was just such a total and amazing innovation. Don't make giant steel mills near urban population centers that have 5,000 people working at them. Make smaller steel mills out in the country where you draw from hardworking rural populations who want an opportunity to have a stake in something other than their farm, and build the steel and construct the smaller steel mills there. And New Corp took off. And it was the envy of the planet's steel manufacturing in throughout the late 1970s and throughout the 1980s. And of course, Collins writes about it in the book, Good to Great. And it's a great example. The point is, you can't just go, well, we're just going to fire up the Rust Belt steel factory machines and take the Chinese back over and the Japanese. That's probably not going to work. And there's probably technology out there and advancement in knowledge that would facilitate a kind of a New Corp approach to doing that. And in doing so, the upside is here. This is how you gain in productivity and innovation, which Chinese aren't going to do. They're not going to do it. Now, they're going to see what you did and they're going to steal it. I didn't say that they wouldn't steal it. What I said is they're not going to create it. You're going to have the advantage as long as you keep innovating. And that's what that kid is saying. That's what Mike Rowe is saying. It's interesting that Mike Rowe keeps popping up. And the Mike Church Show radio universe, is it not? Okay, Ethics and Broadcasting Network here on a Thursday. This portion of the program brought to you by Mike Church's Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee. Dudes, Get you a bag or 16 of Mike Church's Capuchin Holy Roast coffee. This is a gourmet blend. Now, most of your gourmet coffees are one variety of roasted bean, not ours. It is two varieties. It's Arabica from South America, and it's Yergachefa from Ethiopia. No one else can say they have a coffee blend like Mike Church's Capuchin Holy Roast. Only we can. And it's roasted by my friends and his daughter, who live right down the road in Abita Springs. It arrives here fresh. I ship it to you, and the price point is fantastic. Why not pick up a bag or 16 today? And don't forget the official Mike Church show made by the Montana Mountain Arts Pottery Company. Coffee, bourbon, tequila, what else? Jaeger bombs, beer stein. All available at the same place, shop.mikechurch.com. That's shop.mikechurch.com. We also had the Capuchin Holy Roast New Orleans blend, coffee and chicory, and the Abbey Roast from the brothers at Silver City, New Mexico, and 6 different varieties of flavors and roast in whole bean and in grind. Shop for your coffee with us today. One low shipping price and all kinds of different coffees to choose from. Shop.mikechurch.com. Play digital media file. Oh, I don't want that one. There's another one on this? Oh, no. Okay, I was reading it wrong. Boy, Frank Wright's coming up at the bottom of the hour. All right, Frank, this one's for you. This is a throwback, but actually isn't. It's a way forward to the new Weimar Republic. Here's Chase Moron. How does this creature pronounce its last name? Moran? I'm just going to say, because Mauerhan. I'm just going to say moron. They say Moran. Yeah. Butch non-binary teacher in the Bronx. You want to know what's wrong with Western civilization and what needs to be brought to an end immediately? This.
My name is Chase, and I am a butch non-binary high school teacher, and this is my plan for back to school this year. The first thing I'm doing this year is I'm just going by Chase. No Mrs., Mr., Mix, just Chase. I did it last year and it went great, and none of my students cared at all. None of the administration cared at all. So I'm planning on just doing that again this year. Something I'm doing this upcoming year that I didn't do last year is I think I'm just going to send an introduction email to all of my students and all of their parents, just saying my name, my pronouns, a little bit about my background and why it's important to me. I know that not every single parent is going to understand, and not every single parent is going to care.
No parent that's sane is going to. What is this dunce talking about?
And if that means I get to educate the parents too, awesome. The third thing I'm doing this year is a pronoun lesson. I'm doing it day one. I just tell my students that I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns, and that what non-binary means to me is that I'm not really a boy or a girl. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. And a lot of them really get it. My students last year would correct each other when they messed up my pronouns. So I'm kind of just hoping for the same thing this year. I am excited for back to school.
I'm excited for back to school. No dude talks like that. That's a chick.
0.
You have this much male in your body.
0.0.
You are 100% deranged female, and they're going to turn you loose on young skulls full of mush? The hell is wrong with these people? My goodness. Now, you have to answer the question, where are the adults sending their children to a school in the Bronx that are going to tolerate it, accept this? By the way, there's just some grooming going on here. Those kids are going to be groomed by this psychopath. Everything that is... This is what your Western civilization, your Western culture is up against. And who has the stones now these days to stand up and say, no. Hey, Chase, go home, put a dress on, and come back with your hair down your brassiere on, and don't wear a flannel shirt and glasses. Tell you, white women are on a suicide mission. And they intend to carry it out. Mike Churchill here, and we'll talk more about it on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network here on a Thursday. It's a portion of the program brought to you by Dude Nation Membership Service. You go sign up at mikechurch.com/dude. Then you can log in, and when you log in, you get to stream the Crusade channel, Mike Churchill, stream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in full stereo. It will come through on your app. You can also log into our app, crusadechannel.com/app. You get access to the chat room. Choose the right membership level. You get the transcripts. You get podcast series that are already put together for you. You get discounts in the Dude Gear Store shop, and so much more. And you strike a blow against the MSM, Malachian Satanic Media. So head on over to mikechurch.com/join. That's mikechurch.com/join. All right, Frank Wright's coming up here next on the next segment, and there's a lot to talk to Frank about. This portion of the program was brought to you by the Dude Nation Membership Service, as we just heard again, mikechurch.com/join.
Crusade Channel and the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Maria Filomena with your Saint of the Day. The death of Our Lady in the year 58. This feast is lovingly called the Dormition, the sleep of Our Lady. For although she really and truly died, Mary's death lasted for only 40 hours, the same length of time as our Lord's death. Then, with her body incorrupt, Mary was restored to life and assumed body and soul into heaven. The apostles, with the exception of St. James, who had died, and of St. Thomas, who was brought later, were all miraculously transported from the parts of the world where they were preaching to attend the death of Our Lady in Jerusalem, when she gave up her immaculate and spotless soul to God. St. Timothy, St. Denis the Areopagite, and St. Hierotheus, his friend, were also brought miraculously to Our Lady's bedside. Just before Mary died, she was given the Blessed Eucharist, the body and soul which she had given to him when she conceived him at Nazareth. Our Lady was buried reverently by the apostles at the foot of Mount Olivet, just below the place where our Lord had sweated blood on the eve of his passion. It was not far from the grave where St. Lazarus had been buried and raised from the dead by Jesus. Mary's soul, during the interval when her he would not live long, he would say, "If I do not become a saint when I am young, I shall never be one." St. John Bergmans was only 22 years old at his death. His great joy was to serve Mass, and he has been declared the patron saint of all altar boys. Our Lady at her Dormition, pray for us. St. John Bergmans, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow's saints are St. Athanasia and St. Maximilian Maria Kolbe. To hear all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. To learn more about our sisters and contribute to the building of our convent, visit stphilomenaconvent.org. I'm Sister Maria Filomena, and until next time, God bless and Mary keep you.
Hey, it's the King Dude. You know, I've spent my life and career in broadcasting building relationships with listeners and relationships with clients. And I'm here to tell you that it's rare that I find an advertising client that specializes in building those very same relationships with my listeners. Now, this client deals in one of the most important items you can currently buy. That's why I'm happy and proud to introduce Revelation Gold Group as the official precious metal supplier to the Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation. You have a choice in what to listen to and have a choice in where to buy your precious metals. Well, you've chosen the right radio show. Now, choose the right precious metal supplier and go with Revelation Gold Group at mikechurch.com/gold. Start building a precious metal relationship that benefits you and your family for many, many years to come with Revelation Gold Group at mikechurch.com/gold.
Only the Crusade Channel brings you the Saint of the Day read by actual nuns.
Really? Our sisters are actual sisters?
Yes, and you can catch their heavenly voices announcing the Saint of the Day on the Crusade Channel.
Oh, you boomers and your live broadcasts. I'm a busy girl. Sure, I'm very important only in my own mind, but can I get them as podcasts?
I'm not a boomer. And yes, all Saint of the Day recordings are available as mini podcasts on our app and at crusadechannel.com.
I see saintly binge listening in my future. I feel holier already.
Most Crusade Channel wannabes only get the mission half right.
Men, you are about to embark on a great crusade to stamp out runaway decency in the West.
So why settle for half-baked radio hacks crusading in mono when you can get the real deal on the Mike Church Show?
Now go do that voodoo that you do so well.
In stereo. The Mike Church Show's Great Crusade is on the Veritas Radio Network's Crusade.
Moving forwards, using all my breath. Making love to you was never second best.
Coming to you live from the Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee Studio. Mike Church here with you on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network on a Thursday. Portion of the program brought to you by the Revelation Gold Group. Find them hiding in plain sight online at mikechurch.com/gold. You got questions, they got answers. You're ready to buy, they have supply. So, do business with those who do business with us. Revelation Gold Group, one of our primary sponsors here and clients on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network. mikechurch.com/gold. So, without any further ado, so we shall go to the StreamYard Maker hotline for Frank Wright, who is frankwright.substack.com. You look way too formal and professional. What has happened to you? Where's your daughter's books? Where's the rosary? What happened?
Well, there are some children's books around here, and my rosary is in the other room. I've had to go to Ireland. Oh, dear. Yeah, well, I've had to go to Ireland on our holidays, and so I do apologise for my attempts to civilise my usually desultory appearance. There have been some comments.
And I can imagine what the comments are. So Frank is live in Ireland.
I make no apologies for that because...
Yeah, we're having a little bit of trouble with Frank's connection. I think the Irish are scheming against you, actually. But it's okay. Frank is here, and he is still on frankwright.substack.com. Frank, I told the audience that you and I were going to solve all their problems because we're going to figure out how to restore Britain, and then we're going to take after we restore Britain, you're going to give us some tips on how to restore America. So one country at a time, This Restore Britain movement, prior to your kind of coming out party where 40 some odd million, it's 50 million now, people saw that interview that you gave with that guy on the streets. What's the name of that little town in England?
Hello?
All right. Can you still hear? Frank, you still there? Yeah, I think Frank, you want to try audio only because your video maybe is causing the stream to drop out. Yeah, it is unstable. And I think that's probably...
I'll try turning the camera off.
Okay, let's try that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, good. All right, his camera's off.
Hello?
Yes, Frank, I am here.
Okay, yeah, just to try and stabilize the stream, yeah.
Well, let me turn my camera off and see if you getting the feed.
The idea generally is... Hello?
Yep, yep.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I just wondered whether you could hear me. I mean, look, the general idea is the defense of Christendom, really, the defense of our civilization against barbarism. Of course, this is an international issue. It's not just in the United States, not just in Britain, but you see it in Germany, in France, and across what you would call Christendom as well. This is basically the defense of our civilization against barbarism, and that's the alignment that you're seeing here with movements like Restore Britain and across Europe, and of course with very strong interest from our brothers in the United States.
I saw a video 2 days ago on X, and it was, I'm going to pull it up here now, if I get my bandwidth back, and it was she's a Marilyn Monroe kind of lookalike. And she was speaking at an event, and she said, we got to get rid of the Muslims now. You got to get Islam out of government now. The Posey Parker is her stage name, Kelly J. Keene. Now, it's gone from making suggestions now, it's actually being very certain about, no, we have to get Islam out of our government now and out of our country now. What's going on? What's the progress?
Well, I think you can see from statements like Cardinal Sarah saying that the unlimited mass migration, which is industry, of course, partnered with the liberal internationalist state, is a threat to Catholicism and to Christianity generally in the West. You know, it's not just what you might see as people on who have kind of outspoken political views from the liberal point of view. As for this, you can also see the strategy towards Europe, which is informed by the fact that perhaps in one election cycle, maybe two, you may see a majority Muslim vote deliver something that could be adjacent to an Islamic republic in France, for example. These things that might sound outlandish, but they're no longer impossible. In fact, they're being made almost inevitable by the policies of the regime that has led us into this, the regime change regime, whose regime change wars have, of course, magnified and multiplied mass migration to the point where we're looking at, if you like, demographic replacement of the native British, French, and so on, because the people that have been displaced by these wars, of course, have entered Europe, and these routes of mass migration have been established by the downstream effects of these constant wars in the Middle East. And so you're looking at that. What you're looking at is something that's been made near inevitable by the political economy that's ruled us, certainly since the end of the Soviet Union. And you're looking at an existential crisis for not just for our people, not just for our economic model, but also for that model as well. It's delivering results that are clearly universally destructive. And so that's the rising public perception is that our political system is basically a choice between different methods of national suicide. And the depressing thing is that that's what's going to be the result if we don't change. But on the upside, remember, these are the results of decisions taken by men and women, and we can take other decisions, and we do have time. And so that is really what's taking place in European and British politics now, is the realization amongst the electorate that they've effectively been ruled by an elite that doesn't, to put it mildly, have your best interests at heart. What they do have at heart is internationalist interests. And basically what you understand as globalism, I would say, is an attempt to standardize the world in an international standard model. And the reason why, if you like, mass migration is such a foundational issue for this political economy is because it's a political economy of mass consumerism, and they don't really care who those consumers are. Just the more of them, the merrier, as it were. So the line goes up whilst everything else goes down in society. And you have increasing strife and destruction. So look, basically what Restore Britain is saying is we can take responsible, necessary, strategic action now to prevent the worst case scenario. And we should do, because that's the duty of the state, to prevent the inevitability of chaos and murder and terrible, nasty names. Because basically that points out that the extremists are those people in power who've ruled us into a permanent state of emergency throughout the West.
Frank Wright on our Dewmaker hotline with us. Sorry we don't have picture today, but I think this is a StreamYard issue here. It's not a connection issue. But we do have audio. And we're just glad to have audio. But, the problem with that, Frank, is we're not going to get to see you in the wig. Now, thanks to your newfound fame, you may have had to retire the wig. I don't know. And I may be the only person in broadcast media that can actually bring the wig back from time to time. But we won't be able to see the wig today or get career advice. But I do want to talk to you about Andy Burnham. So you got a new PM, and I was doing this in basically a parody format earlier. I said, well, let's talk with Margaret Thatcher up here. And I start with my hand at the top of the screen. I said, then we start working our way down, and I don't remember all the names, David Major, Brian Cameron, or John Major, rather, David Cameron, whoever else came along. And you just keep getting lower and worse and worse and worse. And then you get to Theresa May, then you get to Boris Johnson, and then you get to Keir Starmer, and now you get to Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham seems to have learned nothing from his immediate four predecessors. Has he?
Well, I think what Burnham's trying to do is he's trying to unite the antagonistic factions in the Labour Party by inviting people like David Miliband and Shabana Mahmood into his cabinet in order to keep the Parliamentary Labour Party together. Because you've got to remember that the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, one of the reasons why they're facing a crisis of their own is because they can't reconcile the factions within them. And they're no longer a of these ruling parties is no longer really on the interests of the British people, but on how do they keep their act together to maintain credible projection of power and so on. And really that is just acceptable within the kind of liberal internationalist paradigm. And of course, it's that paradigm that's caused all the problems that we inhabit today. So this is a kind of political deadlock that shows you that that system is really played out. And this is the reason why if you talk about the national interest, you're demonized. Because really, our politics has been aligned with internationalist interests, and that's why they're not interested in the strategic national interest, which is what's best for the British people over a long period of time, rather than just the new.
Yeah, I love the
not just in Britain, but across the West. Well, is that governments can't think beyond the moment. And they not only cannot think beyond the moment, they can't actually solve the problems that their own policies have created without admitting that it is their policy platform. So you've had successive Conservative, Liberal and Labour governments who've all followed the same fixed policies. This is the point. The wars are fixed, the political economy is fixed, the policies on mass migration are fixed, the policies on the environment are fixed. Who fixes them? Those are fixed by an international or internationalist agenda, if you like. And it shows you that we need to return sovereignty and decision-making to nations so we can better navigate a world in which the international system is obviously collapsing now. It doesn't matter whether you like that international system, but it hasn't conquered the world. It isn't going to produce a standard world system like it wanted to. It's falling apart economically, geopolitically, militarily, and diplomatically. And so it's dying. It's just disintegrating now. So if you carry on doing business as usual, you're going to go out of business economically, demographically, nationally. It's time, urgently time, to revise the priorities of the nation towards the national interest whilst there is still time to save it.
Yeah, Frank Wright's with us on our StreamYard Maker hotline. We apologize for the video and audio difficulties here, but we soldier on here. Frank, you and I have been talking about some of this stuff for a long time, going all the way back to the summer of 2020, so 6 years ago. But there's something strange, or something earth-shattering that has happened in the interim, and that is that the people of the UK have been told now, they have discovered that there was this grooming going on of tens upon tens of thousands of young British girls, primarily undertaken by imported men of Pakistani and Muslim descent, and that there was actual gang rape that was going on. The British government knew about it. I think you say going all the way back to the 90s, certainly for the last 20 some odd years. And yet there has been very little activity or effort made to bring a complete and total end to it, find out who the rapists were, try them, lock them in jails or send them back to Pakistani jails, and then to provide some justice for those poor girls who are raped. What can you tell us what's going on with that? Frank, did I lose you?
Oh, sorry. What was the question? You did.
He can't hear me. Frank can't hear me. I'm asking about the Pakistani rape gangs, and now that everybody knows about it, is anything going to be done about it, or is anything being done about it?
Well, the Restore Britain produced the rape gang inquiry, which they said was the first step towards a meaningful justice for the victims, and also the prosecution of the people within the state that have obviously permissioned and in some shameful cases participated in the mass rape, because obviously of course, the Labour MP Sarah Champion for Rotherham said in 2015 that it could have affected up to 1 million British children, and that was from the Labour Party. And that was over 10 years ago. So what we're talking about is an institutional, generational problem that has taken place, the mass rape of our children, with the tacit or explicit permission of officers of the state, such as the police, the judiciary, local government and national government officials. This is a crime against the British people on an unprecedented scale. And to publish an inquiry into this, which the governments have successively refused to do, by the way, for reasons of racism and so on, but basically because it implicates them. This is the first meaningful step towards the restoration of balance, i.e. justice, in the state of Britain, because the state of Britain is obviously rotten if something of this magnitude can take place for decades. And it isn't just going back to the 90s. If you look at it, the first documented cases were in the 1950s. It simply got worse throughout the 60s and 70s, and then magnified in scale as mass migration increased from 1997 onwards.
So the inquiry, and I saw some of the inquiry that happened in the British Parliament. You don't have to take notes. In the British Parliament, where they where the witnesses came in and they were actually heard from, but I still haven't seen that there's been any activity against the perpetrators here. And it seems to me, I just did a story today where the headline is something to the UK Prime Minister says wealthier areas must house illegal immigrants. It's from the Epic Times today. Burnham made his comments in an interview with GB News in response to residents' concerns in the village of Pittington. So, the village of Pittington, this is just a little microcosm of the actual England that you live in, and they found out what was going on with the immigration and the construction of these basically housing camps from these immigrants. They went, wait a minute, this is our land. We grew up here. Our great-grandparents, 15 generations back, grew up here. So it doesn't seem as though that all of official British government has gotten the Restore Britain message, have they?
Oh, no, of course they haven't, because they're directly implicated in decades of policies which have created the problem. And of course, the permissive attitude, which has, if you like, given the liberty of action to these people to continue to rape our children. And so, of course, they're not going to endorse that position. You've got to remember that mass migration is a foundational plank of the political economy by which we are ruled. It's not just an issue of they're just lying to you when they say it's a human rights issue. It's basically part of their economic model. It's part of their strategic model for Britain and for every other country in the West. And so this is it. They present it as no alternative. You simply have to accept this. Now, you don't have to accept this. And there was recent video footage of a town in Britain where the entire local community came out and basically halted the import of mass migrants into their small community.
Right.
So if you turn up in number, and you resist this peacefully, then you can stop it happening in your hometown. You don't have to comply with this. Nobody voted for this. Of course, it's national suicide, and it's importing more rapists and murderers into our communities, which is a crime against the people committed by the state.
And Frank, you and I have been talking about some of this stuff, as I said, for 6 years, and the Weimarization of both the United States and the UK here. And now along comes Restore Britain, and then there is this moment where the message finally gets out. And the world is shocked to hear from this guy named Frank Wright. And they're going, hey, wait a minute. Where's this guy been the last 10 years, 20 years? Where's this man been? Well, he was there the whole time. What has been the reaction since you kind of got discovered? Are you still being invited onto shows?
Well, I think one significant...
Go ahead.
I've struggled to keep up, to be honest, because... Yes, I am still being invited to speak to people. I spoke to somebody in New Zealand today and some Germans the other day, for example. It's been very difficult to keep abreast of all these things, and so I've got someone helping me with that now. But yes, I do get invited. I think the most consequential thing about this is the remarkable realization that there are ordinary British people of extremely, shall we say, obvious capability and talent and integrity who have been systematically excluded from the media picture, from the professions, from the offices of state. And that's the reason why things are getting so terrible. And it shouldn't be surprising to you that if you're ruled in that way, that practically everyone who could help solve the problem is ruled out of any influential position for ideological reasons. It's not that we can't help ourselves. It's not that we can't do anything. It's not that we won't do anything. It's that the way we are ruled systematically excludes you if you want to solve the problem and you have the capability to do so. And that's because it is basically part and parcel of the economic model and the career path that sustains all the people that call you an extremist if you want to save the nation by reasonable, humane, and indeed God's justice, if you like, the restoration of the integrity of the nations, the respect for the family, the dignity. It is the internationalist system, then they call you an extremist. So what we're talking for is the return of dignity, duty, common sense, and pragmatic solutions to save the nation from an otherwise near inevitable disaster. And if you want to do that, apparently you're the baddies. Do you think the people telling you that are the goodies? I think not.
No, they're not the goodies. They are the baddies. And I'm saying this, and you know I've been saying this for quite a while, but I've been putting a little bit more of a coda on it lately. You and I talked when the war first began that Trump, this isn't a war. I never said we were going to have 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we'll be done. Well, here we are, day number 166. And the war has not, it hasn't stopped. It sucked all the energy out of what was once the MAGA movement, if there ever really was such a thing. What doesn't exist now, not the way it did. And there is a serious sense of betrayal out there. And I'm sure that people in the UK feel the same thing. And are Brits disappointed with Trump as many of us in the U.S. are disappointed?
Yes, I think people are. And I think what's going to happen is that the consequences of this war are going to come home and continue to come home in ways which have a profound effect on our economy, the production of food, the price of food, the availability of fuel, serious and obviously very negative changes to people's day-to-day lives. One of the problems is that throughout our lives, we've seen distant pictures of explosions taking place in the Middle East when one war after another was conducted for obviously spurious reasons, such as the lies of the Iraq dossier, for example, and the strategic failure of the debacle in Afghanistan, and the collapse of Libya and the concomitant and resulting flooding of Europe with migrants from Africa, as Gaddafi warned would happen. These things have been an unmitigated disaster for the West. But to some degree, they've taken place on our television screens in a way that hasn't had really meaningful consequences connected to their explosive events. There've been downstream effects like mass migration, but in the public imagination, they're not really connected to the wars that really magnified those migration flows. But this is different. Now, soon the public in America and across Europe are going to have to suffer severe economic hardship because of this latest misadventure, which was clearly not undertaken in the national interest of the United States, nor indeed in anyone else, and may have fatal consequences for the international global system in its economy and its supply chains. It's an unmitigated disaster. And the problem now is how to get out. I think what the Americans are doing in terms of the White House and things is looking for a way to get out from underneath it before it gets worse, because it can only get worse the longer it goes on.
Now, let's go back to the end of May with Frank Wright at frankwright.substack.com and many other places now. The Makerfield moment is what I was grasping at straws for earlier. I couldn't remember. But the Makerfield moment. So I heard you saying things. I went, yep, heard that before. Yep, heard that before. Oh, that's a good one, Frank. Oh, you should read it. Hey, Frank, you should tell that guy the one that you told me. So as I'm hearing you talk to the guy who's interviewing you for the Makerfield moment, I think that the things that came out of that are resonating, if you will, still to this day is no one asked for this. We didn't ask them to do this to us. They just kind of sort of decided that, oh, we're elites and we know what's good for you and we're going to do it. We didn't ask for the offshoring of manufacturing. We didn't ask for the ending of whatever smoldering remains of Christendom that there were left. We didn't ask for them to kick God out of our public societies. We didn't ask for them to be world leaders and killing of the soon-to-be born. Didn't ask for them to destroy marriage. Didn't ask for them to do any of this. And it seems as though that we're told that, well, no, you can fix all this with this electoral system that we have here. You guys just got to get out there and hashtag vote harder. Well, screw that. Voting harder doesn't work. So I'm wondering, what is the path forward? Because it looks like, no, all we have left is vote harder. Well, what if the British government won't do what a vast majority or even a slim majority of natural-born British citizens who have a stake in that land and who are the actual owners of it, what if it won't do what you want it to do?
Well, it doesn't do what anyone wants it to do. It does what it wants, and what it does is, as I've said, I think the easiest way to explain it is that the governments of the West have all been aligned to an internationalist project to standardize the world, which is why you have these domestic social revolutions or color revolutions. If you understand the rainbow wave, the abortion wave, the climate change wave, George Floyd madness, pick one of these and just look at it in terms of a domestic color revolution. That's what they are. They are revolutionary movements sponsored with and partnered with state agencies, used with mass propaganda to capture people's emotions, to worship fervently these passing political spiritual aspect of mankind becomes homeless when you delete Christ from them. And so people seek an outlet for their zealotic spiritual meaning in life, and they invest it in these Now, people are believing in this less and less as they can see that the results of it is universally destructive. It's destructive to the meaning of life, to the meaning of words. It's destructive to your people, your nation. It's replaced education with a credentialed system for buying on credit work permits for jobs that either don't or shouldn't exist, for example, a knowledge economy in which no one knows anything and no one knows how to make anything, in which we don't really make or have any heavy industry at all, and there's no real Now, you can see that in Germany, in France, there's a rising dissatisfaction with that regime because it's collapsing and it's not delivering for people. The economy. There's only so long that that system can lock people out who are presenting a genuine alternative, like the Alternative for Germany, like the Rassemblement National in France, like Restore. And so you see a desperate rearguard action for that. And so as the public begins to realize more and more every day, this isn't really a political question. It's about the destruction of our entire way of life, of our civilization, to fold us into a leveling down, a globally standard system in a model of the world that no longer describes the world. That global system failed. It's not going to happen. Now, what you have now is a multipolar world where the West is no longer in charge of the world. It doesn't control the world's resources. You have to return to nations, to looking at supplying your own food, energy, industry, and infrastructure. You have to look at a degree of national independence. That means you have to remain and return interests to the national interest, which is how should we run the economy and use the offices of the state and investment and industry for the best interest of our people to help them flourish, rather than just see them as kind of tax cows and people to be farmed through a dependency on cheap credit to fuel the addiction economy that makes the line go up, but which is universally morally degrading. The point that's coming through now is that this is bad for everyone, regardless of whatever fanatical views you've been supplied by the propaganda system by which you're ruled, and you are, it's still bad for you. In every dimension, environmental pollution, the humorless, miserable jobs that people have to do to service their debts, the fact that you can't afford to have a family if you're a young person, you can't dream of owning a home. This is making family life impossible. So you then have to ask, what's the economy for? These are profound questions that have never been asked for practically my entire life, and now they are. And we can have an economy that is for us, rather than we being disposable, consumable units for it. So this economy, this political economy, is destroying and consuming everything of value in our lives, and the whole machine is breaking down. And so what you need now is a pragmatic, realistic project of stability and rebalancing the interests of the state, the nation, and the people. And that's the way that you get out of the national emergency.
Yeah, but I think the question on everyone's mind, Frank, is, okay, well, how do I get to that point? And my direction in discussing this here on the Mike Church Show of late has been that the electoral system, especially the national electoral system, is not going to solve, is incapable. Frank, here in the United States, they're not even attempting to look at, much less tackle the problem. $40 trillion in debt is a pretty big target. That's the largest dartboard, the largest archery board in the history of mankind. If you can't hit something on that, well, then you need to stop. You need to get out. So I think that the hulking thing that the behemoth on the banks of the Potomac River, Mordor on the Potomac as I call it, I think it's in its final throes. I think the Democrat Party is eating itself alive. I think that the communists and the Muslims and the angry, ugly single cat ladies are uniting together to kind of get these DSA wackos through Democrat primaries and elected in certain cities. But it's really shocking. Many people are listening to this going, who are these lunatics and how are they getting on these things called ballots? So I think that at the end of the day, maybe we ought to look at one of the problems is this thing called a ballot. Is there another way? Well, there was for about 1700 years. So I think that's where that consideration of that is at least part of the way forward. If you ask me, what say you?
Well, I say that in the absence of a political solution, if you make a reasonable solution impossible, then you make unreasonable ones inevitable, don't you?
Yes.
And so, again, there's a serious tension in British and European politics because what the is that we recognize that these problems have been caused by a liberal internationalist model, and we want to move beyond it in order to save the nation and do some basic common sense things so we can live in a decent society. Depend on it. They're apparatchiks, like the apparatchiki of the Soviet Union, their livelihoods and careers depend upon their loyalty to the system that supplied them. This is becoming increasingly obvious. So what I'm saying fundamentally is, whilst there is the offer of a political solution in Britain, and there is now with Restore Britain, you should take it.
Right.
Because the alternative is not some fantasy outcome where we barbarism and universal bloodshed that could lead to a generational vendetta in which your children are murdered in the street and people are habituated to the kind of war crimes by numbers that is urban warfare. So it's generally people who have little experience of violence and horror that seem to speak about it as if it could be endorsed or as if it's some sort of solution. The responsibility that you have when you discharge the duties of the state is to prevent these outcomes at all costs, because that would be hell on earth. And if you make the case firmly enough that we face a future in which these things may very well happen if we do not take responsible action now, then I think you will carry the British public, because that is the sensible, sane and decent thing to do. And I think it would be pleasing in the eyes of God as well, to restore balance and natural justice to the state and to prevent the outbreak of universal vengeance.
Well, we all completely agree on that, and I was not suggesting anarchy of any sort or any sort of an uprising. But then you're right. If there is a political solution, but the people here in the United States, they elected Trump to do certain things, and as I said earlier, then they look at them and they go like, "Well, you're not doing them," and now you're enriching your family, and the corruption is there. And this is as a result of using the political system is kind of the point, which at some point in time, people will grow weary of it and are going to go, okay, what's plan B? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think what this does, I think what this does is it changes the political calculus. It makes people realize, look, we can't carry on like this. We have to do better. And for example, there are things about that international position. The fact is, basically, what we're looking at is, if you like, the Western Empire is coming to an end. And this is an extremely and a degree of paralysis in the offices of state. This isn't the first time it's happened to any civilization. This is what happens when these kind of are around you. And the second thing to do is to basically come up with a program that you can present to people and say, look, this is how we pragmatically get out of this crisis. And that opportunity to present that to people comes because of the discrediting of the existing political dispensation. We're going through that process now. It's painful. Look, basically, populism is not enough.
Right.
It's not enough to gain votes by saying, look, I'm not like the other ones. What you have to do instead of riding a spasm of disaffection with the way things were is you have to present something that you are for, not just what you are against. And that has to be sincere. It has to be truthful. You have to be motivated by duty, not just the enrichment of your personal party or your mates, your friends, or yourself. We can't entrust the duties of the state to people with these minority interests anymore. And there are plenty of people who are willing to take that up. It's a heroic call. This is a time in which, if you want to be depressive about it, you can say, oh, yes, well, everything's falling apart. But that's a good thing, because the machine was evil. And then you can also see it this way. This is a time in which you can actually act heroically. This is the time that calls for heroes.
Yep.
It's time to take up the duties and responsibilities beyond yourself and speak for the higher purpose of mankind, which is, of course, to serve the justice of God in the maximum possible capacity in the discharge of the duties of the state.
Yeah, and I would just add to that with Frank Wright here on our Maker Hotline. Frank, I would just add to that the American politician Ron Paul once told me elections are all about, well, the ones that aren't rigged, are all about the future. You don't vote on what has happened in the past. You're voting for what you want to happen in the future. So the candidate in a good system that is actually ethical and is honest and is just and isn't rigged, the candidate then you would think amongst good people or formerly good people that just went astray, that presents that, well, look, this is the future. People vote for the future. They vote for better schools. They vote for better outcomes. They vote for better jobs. They vote for their neighborhoods to be cleaner or safer. They vote for a restoration of sanity in their public affairs. They don't want weirdos that are girls showing up to teach their kids as dressed up as weirdos that are boys, right? So elections are always about the future. And Ron also told me you can't replace something which the corrupt ship of Mordor and the Potomac in the United States is with nothing. You have to have something to replace it with. We're very short. We're really good at diagnosing problems and producing outrage porn, clickbait, Frank. We're really good at it. We stink. We suck at actually going like, okay, well, no, here's what you do to fix that. Here's step A, and there's step Z. Kind of what the last time that's happened in American politics was when Newt Gingrich did in 1994 with the contract with America. And there were great results from that. But I don't see or hear anyone out there actually proposing it here in the States. You're fortunate. At least you've gotten to the point where it's so bad that you have a party and you have a movement that is actually seeking to address it. You know, and we had fits and starts of it here in the U.S. We had the election of the Republicans in '94. We had the response to Obama and the bailouts and the corruption and the stealing of all that they did in 2008, 2009. The Tea Party in 2009 here. Now, you know, you had Trump come in as the thundering cannonball Trumpzilla in the China shop, and then we thought you had Trump again. And here in the U.S. at least, there is that disappointment that one, it seems, is not going to work or it's not going to produce the results. And I think that whoever emerges that does suggest or propose, well, here's my plan to actually fix it. And it doesn't involve the current parts of the state. It involves dismantling large parts of the state. I think this has always been part of the answer.
Well, I think if you look at Judge Anthony Napolitano's critique of the hijacking of the American Republic under people like Woodrow Wilson, that's a very interesting view, pardon me, of how the administrative state became a burden to not just Americans. That model was exported across the world. And so you have an increasingly higher and higher tax demands to find life, and so therefore diminishes your liberty and devalues the value of your currency. But there's another dimension to this, which is that the reliability of positions and interests that have guaranteed careers in the political class in America are now increasingly becoming liabilities. Right. International interests, the war machine, this kind of thing. Hello?
Still here. We're still here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, jolly good. Yeah. So basically, what was reliable, these things that the people relied on to guarantee their political careers and their electability are now becoming liabilities. They're becoming albatrosses around the necks of the political class. And like a lot of them are aging out as well. And they're completely out of touch, it would seem, with a large majority of American people on many consequential issues. And so this obviously creates a divide between the rulers and the ruled that's pretty untenable at a time when the international position, not just for America, but for the West generally, is also becoming increasingly uncertain, and that the old explanations that we had in the 90s no longer fit the world. Clearly, it's time to do things differently. Clearly, we have to change course, because the course that we've been steered on has bankrupted the United States and the West morally and financially. And this is an extremely serious situation to be in. And so it's time for us to learn those lessons of the last few decades at least, and say that's the way we ran our system, that's the way we ran our nations, that's the way our economies were structured, and these are the effects that it's produced. These are the effects caused by those political and economic decisions. And so that recognition is cutting through to people in the United States and in Britain and in Europe. And of course, the danger is that some opportunist populists from the left or right will come along and say, oh, look, I'm not like them, vote for me. and they'll just deliver you into the hands of a bunch of crooks again. So what you must do is to make sure that the people that you look to next, that those people are people of unimpeachable integrity and inspired by a sense of duty, who have serious, pragmatic proposals to address each and every dimension of the omni.
All right, Frank, you dropped out, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but we lost audio a couple of times for seconds at a time. My apologies to everyone listening and watching, because we relied on the StreamYard here. And since we're operating in real time on live radio stations across the U.S., it's difficult, if not impossible, for me to change the platform. I could have done it had I known in advance and had a backup, and I should have had a backup. So next time, Frank, we'll get you back on video with the wig in your house, children's books in the background, and we'll be on the way to... We'll be on the way to solving.
Wignity.
Wignity.
Wignity
yes.
At all times, right?
Yes, we'll bring back Wignity.
Yes. I speak for Wignity. And yes, I apologize that I've disappointed you. I haven't actually managed to wear any of my increasing selection of magnificent wigs. But God bless you, brother, and God bless you all.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, everybody, that was Frank Wright. And again, folks, I apologize for what happened with the audio and the video. But all right, I delayed that break. We're going to take it now, and we'll be right back here. This portion of the program has been brought to you by the Dude Nation membership service at MikeChurch.com/join. That's MikeChurch.com/join.
Hey, it's time for another Cooking with the King Dude Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tip. Pour 1/2 cup beast and butt rub into 1/2 cup brown sugar. Combine the two thoroughly and then put that into a shaker. Now you have the sweetest and spiciest barbecue seasoning on the market. So your wife, who loves sweet, and your Uncle Bobo, who loves butt kicking spicy, are both satisfied with your barbecue, and to them, you are a beast and butt rub Beast Mode champion. Get more of my Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tips and your beast and butt rub today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You got to call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
800-932-1789. 800-932-1789. 800-932-1789. That's 800-932-1789.
More news, financial literacy, quality of life, health improvements, Christian ministry, sports, and more. AM 1010, The King.
Check out today's Saint of the Day in the Saint of the Day podcast from the Slaves to the Immaculate Heart Sisters. Just listen or download at crusadechannel.com/saint. Now look at more lifestyle headlines. Archaeologists in Turkey believe they've made a groundbreaking discovery, possibly uncovering the remains of a church they believe hosted the First Council of Nicaea, one of the most pivotal events in the history of Christianity. An international team of researchers continued excavations in July at a church complex in the ancient city of Nicaea, now within the modern town of Iznik, according to Turkish state media outlet Anadolu Agency. The structure, which was under the investigative director of Mustafa Sahin, identified as the Church of the Saint Neophytos, destroyed by an earthquake in 368 AD. It was soon replaced by the Church of the Holy Fathers, built around 380 AD. Nicaea is famous for hosting the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the first ever ecumenical council in Christian history. The council famously produced the Nicene Creed, affirming that Jesus was begotten, not made, and fully divine rather than a created being. It represented one of the earliest efforts to unify Christian doctrine across the Roman Empire and rejected the beliefs of Arius, who argued that Christ was a created being rather than co-eternal with God the Father. Archaeologists first identified a large submerged basilica at the site in 2014.
Mike Church Show News. News you can trust.
Because let's face it, the truth just sounds different, like a symphony of facts.
And now, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Red, White, and Dude Nation. Welcome to Thursday, August 13th, 2026. I'm Janet Huxley at the Mike Church Show News Desk, live from the ranch in Kansas City. This report is brought to you by the all-new Mike Church Show website and Dude Nation membership service. Check it out today at the all-new MikeChurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. 3 military heavyweights forge alliance that could reshape the Middle East. Trump says Caroline Leavitt will leave the White House press secretary role. 11 charged in immigration scheme involving over 1,000 sham marriages. And archaeologists unearth secret church tied to Council of Nicaea. Christianity's defining moment. A new pact linking Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan is fueling debate over whether the three countries are laying the groundwork for a competing regional bloc, potentially challenging the U.S.-backed architecture built around Israel and the Abraham Accords, or simply creating a new model of burden sharing among American partners, writes Fox. The three countries, all with long-standing security ties to the U.S., enter the pact with different interests, but together they could begin shifting the region's balance of power. President Donald Trump announced that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will leave her role at the end of the month to spend more time with her family. She confirmed her departure in a lengthy post on X, saying she made the bittersweet decision after concluding she could not balance the demands of serving as press secretary with being the mother she wants to be to her 2 young children. Serving as the White House press secretary over the past year and a half has been an honor and adventure of a lifetime, she wrote. And Trump said, "Our wonderful White House press secretary and one of my most trusted aides, Caroline Leavitt, will be departing her role at the end of the month so she can spend more time with her beautiful young children and family, a decision I totally understand and respect. Caroline will now be one of my top outside advisors and an influential voice within the Republican Party as we work to defy history and conclusively win the midterm elections." The DOJ has charged 11 people with allegedly helping foreign nationals, primarily Chinese nationals, to obtain green cards through the marriage fraud scheme, according to an indictment sealed on August 12th. The people behind the alleged scheme were all naturalized U.S. citizens originally from China and one green card holder, according to Attorney General Todd Blanche. The defendants have been charged with conspiracy to commit marriage fraud and immigration fraud, and conspiracy to encourage the unlawful residence of aliens in the United States. This is one of the largest marriage fraud prosecutions in United States history, Blanche said during a press conference. This scheme was not a quick fly-by-night operation, but rather a years-long, multi-million-dollar cottage industry to criminally assist people who would not, or legally could not, otherwise become citizens of the United States. Our quote of the day: "It is with the smallest brushes that the artist paints the most exquisitely beautiful pictures." St. Andre Bessette. Coming up, more headlines. You're listening to The Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation.
Hey, it's time for another Cooking with the King Dude Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tip. Pour 1/2 cup beast and butt rub into 1/2 cup brown sugar. Combine the two thoroughly and then put that into a shaker. Now you have the sweetest and spiciest barbecue seasoning on the market. So your wife, who loves sweet, and your Uncle Bobo, who loves butt kicking spicy, are both satisfied with your barbecue, and to them, you are a beast and butt rub Beast Mode champion. Get more of my Backyard Barbecue Beast Mode tips and your beast and butt rub today at shop.mikechurch.com.
Check out today's Saint of the Day in the Saint of the Day podcast from the Slaves to the Immaculate Heart Sisters. Just listen or download at crusadechannel.com/saint. Now look at more lifestyle headlines. Archaeologists in Turkey believe they've made a groundbreaking discovery, possibly uncovering the remains of a church they believe hosted the First Council of Nicaea, one of the most pivotal events in the history of Christianity. An international team of researchers continued excavations in July at a church complex in the ancient city of Nicaea, now within the modern town of Iznik, according to Turkish state media outlet Anadolu Agency. The structure, which was under the investigative director of Mustafa Sahin, identified as the Church of the Saint Neophytos, destroyed by an earthquake in 368 AD. It was soon replaced by the Church of the Holy Fathers, built around 380 AD. Nicaea is famous for hosting the first Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the first ever ecumenical council in Christian history. The council famously produced the Nicene Creed, affirming that Jesus was begotten, not made, and fully divine, rather than a created being. It represented one of the earliest efforts to unify Christian doctrine across the Roman Empire and rejected the beliefs of Arius, who argued that Christ was a created being rather than co-eternal with God the Father. Archaeologists first identified a large submerged basilica at the site in 2014, later determining it was the Church of the Holy Fathers. Eusebius of Caesarea, who attended the First Council of Nicaea, described the meeting as taking place in a small church, a detail that Sahin said supports his hypothesis. The church was so small that one wonders how so many bishops fit inside, he said. This itself was a great miracle of God. While the first basilica has long been associated with the First Council of Nicaea, Sahin told the press the newly uncovered smaller church beneath it is a more likely candidate. He said coins recovered from graves beneath the later basilica helped date its construction to about AD 380, reinforcing his conclusion that an earlier church occupied the site at the time of the council. I'm Janet Huxley for the Mike Church Show in the Red, White, and Dude Nation, because ethics in broadcasting matters.
The Mike Church Show, combining the best of the politics from the era of surround sound. With the 2026 revelation that when it comes to politics and scams like MAGA, we're all screwed. But like grape knee-high made with real sugar in a real glass bottle, we make throwback a go-back.
Too bad real women don't come with these, huh?
Come with 500-watt 8-channel discrete amplifiers, THX receiver sold separately.
Hey now, folks, welcome back to Mike Church on the Ethics in Broadcasting Network. Because I extended the segment with Frank Wright 22 minutes, I messed my clock up and I have to get back on it. So this is going to be a quick, hi, Baby Groot, hi, how are you? And a quick, because the system is automated, I can stop the automation, and I did. But we're going to get back on the automation and be back after a very quick 3 minutes, and then we'll continue with the remainder of this Thrill Pack episode of the Mike Church Show here on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network. Telephone number is 844-527-8723. Right back in 3 minutes.
What's your idea of an oasis of sanity? As things go more insane in this messed up world, maybe it's time you consider that question. Join us in Richmond, New Hampshire this October 9th and 10th for St. Benedict Center's annual conference. Our theme will be Oases of Sanity in the 21st Century. This is Brother Andre Marie of Reconquest. Join Charles Colomb, Commander John Sharp, CJ Doyle, Jeb Smith, Sisters Maria Filomena, Anne Marie Gabrielle, and me for thoughtful discussion and fortifying Catholic camaraderie. Go to Catholicism.org/conference, Catholicism.org/conference.
Hello, Red, White, and Dude Nation. I'm Janet Huxley at the Mike Church Show News Desk with your crucials for Thursday, August 13th, 2026. This report is brought to you by Cookin' with the King Dude Seasoning Trilogy. There's your favorite beast and butt rub, Acadiana steak seasoning, and the new Chicken Mamu, lemon, pepper, and herb seasoning, available for one low price at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow slipped 0.04%, the S&P was up 0.26%, NASDAQ was up 0.54%. Today is National Filet Mignon Day, celebrating a specialty cut of beef. Usually from a steer or heifer, a filet mignon is a steak taken from the smaller end of the tenderloin of the beef carcass. Filet mignon is French for cute filet or dainty filet. In French, filet mignon may be called filet de boeuf, which translates to beef filet in English. When found on a French menu, filet mignon may also refer to pork rather than beef. And today is National Prosecco Day. Prosecco is made from a variety of grapes, and in case you didn't know, it's a sparkling wine. One of the oldest is the Glera. However, Prosecco can be made from Chardonnay, Pinot Gris, and Pinot Noir. Primarily grown and bottled in the Veneto region of Italy, Prosecco's draw its excellent mousse. In wine speak, the mousse is the lovely persistent bubbles that give Prosecco the sparkling appeal. Our quote of the day: it is with the smallest brushes that the artist paints the most exquisitely beautiful pictures. Saint Andre Bessette. You can learn all about today's saint in the Saint of the Day podcast from the Slaves to the Immaculate Heart Sisters by listening or downloading at crusadechannel.com/saint. You're listening to The Mike Church Show and the Red, White, and Dude Nation.
Hey folks, Mike Church here. You know, when I was a little cheerins, I remember loving the old Dunkin' Donuts TV spot. You know, the one with the guy who got up at 3 a.m. mumbling to himself as he went out the door and then back in his front door.
Time to make the donut.
Well, fast forward 46 years, and now I'm the guy waking up at 3 a.m., mumbling to myself as I go in the studio door, then back out. Time to make the radio. I made the radio. I made the radio. But I have a secret weapon the Dunkin' Donut dude didn't have. Mike Church's Capuchin Holy Roast coffee in whole bean or ground. Our fresh, aromatic, gourmet coffee is made from 100% fair trade beans, freshly imported, roasted by my friend Kyle and his daughter at the Abita Roasting Company, then delivered to you so fresh your kitchen will smell like a barista shop. Good. So, whenever you arise to take on the day and listen to the Mike Church Show, do it the Red, White, and Dude Nation way by brewing up a fresh pot of Capuchin Holy Roast or my all-new Capuchin Holy Roast New Orleans blend coffee and chicory at shop.mikechurch.com.
Only the Crusade Channel brings you the Saint of the Day read by actual nuns.
Really? Our sisters are actual sisters?
Yes, and you can catch their heavenly voices announcing the Saint of the Day on the Crusade Channel.
Oh, you boomers and your live broadcasts. I'm a busy girl. Sure, I'm very important only in my own mind, but can I get them as podcasts?
I'm not a boomer. And yes, all Saint of the Day recordings are available as mini podcasts on our app and at crusadechannel.com.
I see saintly binge listening in my future. I feel holier already.
The great Edmund Burke once said, "The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing." And for this hour of the Mike Church Show, doing nothing is not an option.
The talk radio equivalent of the last blockbuster movie rental store. The Mike Church Show stands in defiance of the demonic world of digital streaming, podcasting, boredom. Here on the Ethics and Broadcasting Network, live from the Cooking with the King Dude studio today. This portion of the program brought to you by Cooking with the King Dude. Pick my rubs and spices up, and don't forget the Cooking with the King Dude, real radio announcer, real professional TV chef, announcer, cook dude. Cook's apron, the pro version with the two front pockets that are big enough to hold 2 16 ounces. I think you might be able to squeeze a 40 in there, actually. I think you put a 40 in there. If you need to stick a bottle of Blanton's in there, it'll work for that too. But pick your apron up and your 3 rubs today: beast and butt rub, chicken mamu, and Acadiana steak and seafood seasoning at shop.mikechurch.com. Don't forget the roux spoon in the Louisiana merchandise department there. And we got a great little Cajun cooking book there, too, if you're interested in that. Shop with us today, shop.mikechurch.com. Let's do... I didn't hear this when you were scrubbing this. What? This one from the Monica Lewinsky podcast. You just put it on there so we'd have something? Is this a tale of lament, or is this another single, angry, ugly cat lady saying that she's glad that she's the single, angry, ugly cat lady?
Well, she's saying she's glad that she's a single, angry, dog-loving lady, but you can hear it in her tone. I think she resorted to being a, air finger quote, dog mom because she waited too late in life to have said children.
There's no such thing as being a dog mom. You're a dog owner.
Which is why I said air finger quotes.
Air finger quotes, dog owner. Allison Janney. I don't even know who this person is. Okay. We've been talking feminist BS and how white women are ruining America all week anyway, so you might as well. Ex-producer number 2. Ask. It's cut number 2. Megyn Kelly, producer number 2.
Producer number 2 lost it.
Okay, producer number 2 lost it. It's just been an absolute, just one compounded. I told you it's Monday on Thursday. This has been the worst Thursday. Technically speaking, somebody made the comment during Frank's interview, with all that we know and all that's supposed to work about the internet, how do you still have 3.5-second hiccups? And Frank is telling me, Mike, I really wanted to be on camera so we can talk wignity. I did how do they say it? I did a presentation earlier on Zoom and it worked just fine. And I'm going like, if I actually had a producer here in this room that was doing the engineering, it wasn't me. He or she could have been looking for an alternative or scheming an alternative and pointing out, hold on, we're going to go to backup. Frank, here, send it to Frank's peeps. Oh, click on that. We completely and totally would have been able to do that. But I'm the engineer. I would physically have to have done it. And I believe it or not, I came within like 10 seconds of doing it. And I forgot, we have a new system here, and it has our own video streaming, and I could not log into it on that little Mac there. I can log into it on this one because I was already there, but I couldn't get in here because I have 1,700,000 billion quadrillion passwords and damn usernames, and on my own cloud site, couldn't crack that code. So we had that go. So that was why I couldn't go to backup. And StreamYard, for the record, still sucks. It always has sucked. Okay, here. Speaking of sucking, you found it? You found it? I did. All right, here we go. Speaking of sucking.
I guess I always thought I would get married just because at the time I was growing up, that's what you did. That's what my mom did, and I thought, well, I guess that's what I'll do too. And then. The more when I went to New York to go to acting school at the neighborhood playhouse, and I had boyfriends, I had long-term boyfriends, and I didn't want to have kids, and they didn't either. Then I was pushing into my mid-30s, and then I had a 4-year relationship, and and that's when I thought maybe I should try to have kids now, and then it was apparent to me that this wasn't the man that I wanted to have kids with, so I was like, okay, well, I guess that didn't happen.
You're a dog lady,
and I'm actually, I feel so. The way you feel in a relationship that is probably not the one, and you're kind of in it, and you don't know how to get out of it, and that's the most lonely feeling in the world, to be with someone and feel.
No, the most lonely feeling in the world is to be lonely.
So it didn't happen.
Stupid.
I knew I never wanted to have kids. that just is something that
Okay.
I've
But
always
then there was
known.
a period where you did, or you
no,
just
I
thought,
didn't.
like,
I just thought, well, I better. If I
Right,
should just
like-
try at least right here. I went to a fertility person, and they were like, "Oh, you're pretty kind of over the hill." I was like, "Oh, really? I thought women could have kids till I was sort of under the impression that women could have kids till they were 50 or something."
Well, at
I don't
least
know
she's
why. I
admitting
thought-
that.
This is not something we're taught, like to be in charge of our fertility.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All right, stop the tape! Stop it! I can't take it anymore.
I had to listen to it. You had to listen.
No, I don't want to listen. I don't want to.
But those two women right there are why we are in the position we're in right now.
Find
Those
out
two
where
idiots.
that podcast was recorded, and find out where that podcast was recorded, and
I say we take off and nuke the entire site for Morbid.
yeah, what's she saying?
It's the only way to be sure.
Nuke it. And by the way, Monica Lewinsky, I'm pretty sure you know where babies come from. I'm pretty sure you know how they made. And we don't have any knowledge about our own fertility. Why don't you know that? Who are these two generations of dingbats, females meandering across the American countryside who A, don't know how babies are made, and 2, don't know that there is an expiration date? It's like a Budweiser. Your eggs, your system has an expiration date on it. Why don't you know this? I know it.
These are two college-educated women, and there's a 5-year-old homeschooled child that knows there's an expiration date on childbirth.
I'm trying to make the best out of a bad situation. I don't need to hear crap from a bunch of hippie freaks living in denial.
I mean, okay, I want to go back to what, and by the way, how many of you noticed, and I wish we could have gotten a video version, and I will send profound apologies, and I'll get Frank Wright back on, and we will get him back on a video. But how many of you did you notice how polished and smooth? He was always smooth, but how polished and smooth Frank has gotten. He has honed those arguments down to where they are like repeatable in 30s or 2-minute long sound bites now. And that's good because that plays perfect on social media streams. That's about the attention span of a ferret or a gnat and 5 espressos and a cappuccino. But he's got the thing down, the presentation down there that he's got the points out. I wish I could have seen his face, and I wish he could have seen mine, because I was trying to impress upon him, dude. I understand that we have to talk about these things, and we have to say that we must do these things. But then well, there was a political opportunity. I agree, and maybe you had the political opportunity in Great Britain. What political opportunity presents itself to the American public? If you send, and I think this is probably going to happen, if you send Mike Johnson, the Zion King, daylight come and they want to go home. If you send the Zion King back to Mordor in Trump's 2 lame duck years, you think it was bad this term? They're going to get nothing done. Because the whole thing is going to be, don't offend the population, don't take their toys away from them. We have to elect a president in 2 years. You can't not spend. You have to spend money that we don't have. Either way, they'll turn on you. Or it ought to be that if you do spend, that we're going to turn on you. And maybe Restore Britain is an opportunity. Where is Restore America? If you had a plan, what would it be? I wish you people would call the show and give me your, or just give them to me in the chat room. Okay, give me 10 points. I need 10 points. Give me 10 points to put on the plan. Here, I'm going to give you point number 1 on Restore America. 1, stop spending. But we have to spend. We got to do. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's an option. All of it is an option. but there are going to be so many people that are going to be put out of work and this and that and the other. They're not working in productive towards productive ends today. You know, you have to have. Okay, maybe education is the first thing. Combined with you got to stop the bleeding. You have to understand that governments don't make money. There's not an engine of production in Washington, in Mordor and the Potomac. There's not an engine of production in Augusta, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tallahassee, Florida, Montgomery, Alabama. They don't produce anything. They consume what you produce. The first thing is just simple binary education. Binary in you work, they take. Simple thing. You work, they take. That's how they are funded. Either that or someone in a foreign country works and they take through what's called a tariff. Now, the United States ran on a tariff system for 1916. So 116 and 9. Trump was right, 125 years. He said 125 years. He was right. We ran on a tariff system for 125 years. We still ship goods. We still import goods. We still export. You can run the entire government on the tariff system. And if you can't, well, then it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be spending the money. If this offends people, then I hope it does offend you, and I hope you clean your act up, and then you get out. You have to stop the military-industrial complex, which is then the Russians will take it. Well, then let the Russians go bankrupt. You have to stop it. I can't be the only one that knows the old adage of beating plowshares into swords. And it's a stupid idea. Well, we do beating the plowshares into swords on steroids because we don't even have plows anymore. 4% of the American public actually produces 100% of American-made stuff. That is not... You say that's not sustainable, and people go, well, how do we keep detaining it? Because you keep importing stuff from China. What was I looking at today? And I went, oh, my. I know what it was. I was in my closet this morning, and I'm going like, I'm still losing weight. I've got it down to a very slow process, and I just changed my entire eating habit, dietary life. Just committed to it. After the July break, and I'm over a month in, and now it's just routine now. So I'm going like, I'm going to need, because I'm on the last notch on this belt. So I'm going to need a new belt, so I went looking to see if I had one, so I didn't have to go buy another one. And I found one from like when I was 18. So I tried it on. I went, I think you're about 30 pounds away from that one, buddy. I flipped the belt over because I'm looking to see if it has a waist size on it. And it didn't have a waist size on it, but you know what it did have on it? Made in China. And I'm going, we can't even make belts, or we couldn't even make belts when I bought this one 20 years ago or so, whatever. You can't. Have we lost the ability to tan leather now? I think we have. Made in China. Maybe if we built fewer bombs, we could make more belts. Maybe if you... There was a clip on CNN this morning of Volodymyr Zelensky basically asking for 10% of all of our ammunition. Just send them to us. No, what Ukrainian people need is we need this and that and the other. And that equals about 10% of all we have left. So just send it to Iran, to Ukraine, so Ukraine can continue killing Russians and Russians can continue killing Ukrainians. And there aren't very many Ukrainian boys left. They are literally running out of young men. So they're conscripting 45-year-olds now. Maybe if the United States stopped making weapons of mass destruction at the levels and quantities that we make them at, then those people that are making them would be then compelled without government subsidy to make something the Chinese are making for us. Is this argument that difficult? I'm going back into the chat room. I got logged out earlier because I didn't see any. By the way, we set a goal for August fundraising, and it needs your assistance. So make a donation today, and I'll read your name. Please make a donation today. Go to crusadechannel.com/donate. Or go into the chat room. You know where the chat room is, crusadechannel.com/chat. See, I go in there and Tar Heel Militia said, this dude in North Carolina makes some great tool belts. Yeah, but Brian, does he make belts? Let's see who this guy is. Wheeler, we used to have a guy when the Crusade Channel first started. Remember the dude that lived in Texas? I can remember his name, Edgar Musselwhite. Remember he started a leather making business and he sent us coasters. He didn't send me a belt. Wheeler Monroe Leather Company. Oh, cool. By the way, I can tell what his marketing plan is looking by the photographs of the belts. That they're all on chick bodies from the waist down. That's very smart, very crafty. But he doesn't have an actual belt. Okay, Tar Heel Militia, find me an actual belt company. I need a belt. Oh, he says that she does make regular belt. Oh, I didn't see it. Hold on. Hang on. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Okay, it's the last item. Okay, wide belt. Are they all? Are these chick belts? All the models are chick. Let's see here. How do you? Okay, all right. No, all right. I found a made in America. Thank you, Brian. See, the Crusader Stadium chat room to the rescue. Remnant Crusader says Duckhead makes belts in the USA too. JT says go to any arts and crafts fair. Belt makers sell there. Do we have any arts and crafts fair near us here? I don't think so. In any event, let me get back to my plan, because it's all about the plan. If you stop the military-industrial complex from making things, then you can have the same manufacturing capability or capacity. You retrofit or you adjust, you add on to, you take away from that same machinery and make it make something productive. You know, we talked about that car company, that truck company that's coming online. Was it Revo? I think it was in 2028. Basically, it's a crowd-funded Kickstarter. You buy your truck in advance, and they'll make it for you in 2028. But you got to put a down payment up. Now, if you got $8,000, I think it was $7 or $8,000. If you got $7 or $8,000 laying around, that's one way to do it. But what if you have manufacturing facilities that are already tooled to make bombs, missiles, super high-tech jet fighter, plane parts, etc.? Can they not be retooled to make other things that you need here in the United States? I think that any plan has to do that. I think that Trump's idea of the tariffs was correct. And I know a lot of people say, well, the American people bore the brunt of the tariffs and this and that and the other. Okay, fine. What's the trade-off for that? The trade-off for that should be that's only for an ephemeral amount of time. That should not be long-term. Because manufacturing in the U.S. should take the place of what was being manufactured in China. And then ultimately it's made here, and it equals out. But it won't do it overnight. They didn't steal and give away your manufacturing industrial base overnight. Let me give you another one that I saw the other day, and I was shocked to see it. So I'm working on the sunroom out there to make it really, to remodel it and make it beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. People walk into the house. When we put Studio Saint Michel for sale again, they go in here like, wow, this is like Southern Homes and Living in here. So I needed a piece of finished number 2 pine fascia board, a 1x6. So I went to Lowe's and I went and bought my supplies there. I was already at Lowe's. If you're wondering, why are you doing a major... Because I was already there. They had something the guy down the street doesn't have. And I went and asked him. He goes, just go get it at Lowe's. I got the board home, and I didn't even... It never occurred to me. I got the board home, and then I measured what I was going to cut, and then I set it on the table saw to cut it, and when I flipped it over, there's a white sticker on it with a barcode. And I went, wait a minute. That piece of 1x6 was made in Finland. I'm going, we can't make number 2 pine in the United States now? We have to get our number 2 pine, finished trim, wood from Finland? And don't tell me we don't have enough trees. We got more trees than we can ever chop down. Paul Bunyan couldn't take out our forests. And it's just something that, you see this and you should just be shocked by this. Why isn't there a guy down the street from right here where this house is? There's a pine forest right over there. I know where there one is. Actually, used to be a tree farm. There's one right there. Why can't somebody buy or set up you could do a portable sawmill. You don't even have to have a permanent one. They sell the portable sawmills now. You go whack the trees down, and then you get the lumber out. The only thing that, and I know somebody's going to say, you have to cure it. You're right. You have to have a way to cure it, a curing oven or curing barn or whatever it is that they use. So you do have to have that, and it does take a little bit of time. So what? You're out, 10 months, 8 months? How long does it take to cure a piece of pine so it can be used or cut for a finish board? My point is, did we not lead planet Earth in manufacturing everything, including number 2 finished pine? Made in Finland. Okay, so what's another part of the action plan? Stop the bleeding. And Trump said he was going to do this, and you have to do this. You have to have an immediate government hiring freeze, and that includes the military. You need to start retiring people. You got guys that are E8s and they want to get to E10. Tell them quit now. Quit while you're ahead. We're retiring you, unless you're an officer. What else can you do? I said I wanted 10 things to be proposed on how you can turn this thing around and a plan that you can act upon. Phyllis says, you asked for finished pine. Where did you think it was going to come from other than Finland? I see what you did there. That's funny. Okay. Where's my 10 points? I'm scrolling back up to see. I need 10 things we're going to do to fix America. Thanks to Gerald yesterday for his donation. I don't see anybody stepping up to the plate today. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. What's something else you have to do? Most people were going to look at this and are going to look for where the money is being spent, and I think it's a smart thing to do. Why? You're talking about what you need to eliminate. What do you need to add? And this just has to happen in the States. You have to stop assaulting the American genius, entrepreneur, and manufacturer. He is not your cash cow. But they're going to go, but we have to have the welfare program and this and that and the other. I think you can have a small program because you created it, and all of these kids are fatherless now. And what do you really want to look at a 28-year-old woman who has born 4 bebe kids completely and totally out of wedlock and tell her not only does she have to leave her kids in the hands of a daycare, and you got to pay for that she needs to go out and wait tables? Jack Hunter actually used to make this argument way back in the day that there's the people that were saying it, that's just stupid. You're going to compound one mistake ostensibly with another. So how do you solve that situation? I don't know. You got to sit down and talk about it, but you got to stop making them. You know, my solution also, which has got to be on the plan, is you got to get rid of Social Security. You got to get rid of Medicare. People that have lived their entire lives as if Social Security and Medicare are a foregone conclusion, they get it. You have to pay them. You got to pay them, and you have to pay their medical bills. People that aren't in those systems yet, phase them out. The Mike Church Show plan would have worked 10 years. Look, we'd be in year number 16 now of my 2010 plan. You'd be 16 years of sunset in. And many of the people that would have been grandfathered in 2010, and I'm not saying that I wish they were dead, but they'd be dead. They'd be gone. And you know what wouldn't be added? No new Social Security check cashers. And then you can begin to phase out the FICA tax. You get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Federal income tax needs to be abolished tomorrow. Go in there and stop. You know why the tax code exists, so the CPAs don't get unemployed. You got the people that benefit from the tax system, CPAs, accountants, TurboTax, QuickBooks. Name your manufacturer of this insanity. And almost anyone that provides a financial product, especially if it's linked to a computer, is probably in the business because of the income tax. So get rid of it. Well, what are they going to do, TKD? Well, they're going to have to find something else to do. I don't know what it is, but you're not going to be doing it because we're not going to be paying taxes anymore. Again, see tariff system. But I don't know the American people are going to do. Do you want to fix it or not? You see, and this is where you wind up with yeah, but that's just too hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. So everything you have on the cut sheet is about. You don't have anything about anything other than Caroline Levitt.
That's all. That was the news today.
So that's why we got stuck.
That's it. That's the big one.
That's why we got stuck with bimbo podcasters.
And the butch non-binary
And the butch non-binary.
That's it, folks. That's society.
This portion of the program brought to you by, I got a big event coming your way next Wednesday. A talk with Sister Marie Gabrielle at the Lions Club in Mandeville, Louisiana. I know a lot of you don't live anywhere near New Orleans area, and you're not going to make the way down, but maybe some of you live regionally close enough. You should come. Come meet Sister Marie Gabrielle and whoever it is that she will be bringing with her from the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, our sisters at the St. Benedict Center. The talk is titled, How to Save the World. You all want to know how to save the world, don't you? Here's what you do to go make a RSVP today. We'll see you next Wednesday night at the Lions Club, 6 p.m. sharp. Go to mikechurch.com/sister. That's mikechurch.com/sister. What else was because I was blousing around earlier today. Okay, I was talking about Trump and the polls. Okay, what else on the 10-point plan needs to happen if you're going to actually try and fix this? Well, you have to stop all of the subsidy. If a university can't make it without Department of Education or Health and Human Services or Habitat for Humanity or whatever the subsidy is, well, then too bad. If the state of Louisiana can't educate its own kids, that's on the state of Louisiana, state of Alabama, et cetera, et cetera. You got to bring these things to an end. You know, Obama created the student loan system that now has $1.7 trillion in outstanding debts. Did you know that? $1.7 trillion. $1.7 trillion. You got to stop that. As of the kicking in of the plan, it stops at $1.7 trillion, and then you start paying it back into the Treasury. It went my loan forgiven. Well, screw you. You're not going to get it forgiven. Pay it back, punk. All of these things can all be part of the ultimate solution here. What else you got, that the general government is doing that it shouldn't be doing? You know, the list, you'll be here until tomorrow morning. Here's one. I talked about it the other day. Rural Electrification Act. End it. Tell Congress that you're going to go in there and you're going to have a repeal fest and you're going to start repealing things. And you're going to make it so that that it won't be illegal and there won't be regulatory loopholes. You know, look at what Secretary Sean Duffy did to fill the gap at the FAA. What do? They went after gamers. And they brought the gamers in, and they already have video screen acuity time, right? They already know how to work joysticks. They know how to track moving objects because they're video gamers. Apparently, they were easy to train, and they hired almost 2,000 of them in 6 months. And they solved the FAA problem. Okay, well, what's the major problem? We're talking about all these jobs that are out there, like these mechanics jobs. Look. You have to tell the states that they're on their own. You're not getting any subsidy for anything anymore. There is no such thing as a school lunch program. If your state has to do it, instead of laundering money and then passing debt on to the same kids, to mortgage, basically borrow money to buy food from farmers that shouldn't be growing most of it to start with, is just plain stupid. Bring it into the ethanol subsidy. Stop it tomorrow morning. Say, hey, man, if in your state you want to grow corn and turn it stupidly into fuel, and in your state you want to have ethanol available, you do that. It's not a national federal mandate any longer. They started nipping around the edges, the Trump administration did in the first 6 months ago, and they were talking about phasing out the CAFE standards. Well, why not just get rid of the EPA? If you get rid of the EPA and there is no federal agency to answer to, well, then each state would be going like, well, if California wants to have a 70 mile per gallon standard, well, they're just not going to be driving cars. They're going to have to buy them from sane people in Texas. Okay, fine. What else do we have? You could talk about financially irresponsible people all you want, Vince, but how about where does Visa and MasterCard get its money? Here, you want big ticket items? Let me give you the big ones. And a lot of stuff follows from that. So, Vince, in Pittsburgh, where does Mr. Visa, MasterCard get its money from? It's interesting that the American Express Company seems to be the only outlier here. And I'm sure that they borrow at the discount window, but they don't do it in the same way that Visa and MasterCard do, which is why Amex is a kind of a membership has its privileges. It is a card service. I need to look into that. But here's the question. How is it that Mr. Visa and MasterCard have the $30,000 to loan you that they just gave you a line of credit for? Where'd they get it from? Yeah, where'd they get it? They borrowed it. Where did they borrow it from? And if they borrowed it, why can't you borrow it? If Visa can go to the Federal Reserve banks and say, hey, I need $640 billion this year because we're going to loan all that out. And then we're going to take in $1.2 trillion in return, usury. $1.2 trillion. Well, what if the Federal Reserve couldn't print or manufacture that money to loan out to the credit card companies? Which are all, these people are all shyster thieves. Every single one. They're all usurious shyster thieves that ought to be illegal anyway. Well, what is the root of that whole system? The Fed, the Federal Reserve. How many times have we said, since I got religion in 2008, don't audit the Fed, end the Fed. If something was created with nefarious evil purposes, it was created with nefarious evil purposes. And the banksters created the Fed with nefarious evil purposes. And just, you know what? Our Lord told us, you will know them by their fruits. Rotten tree cannot produce good fruit. It only produces rotten fruit. So you got to fix the money system. This has to be done. And you know what? At the time of the Constitution went into effect, continental currency, it was called a continental. There was a saying, it's about as that thing there is worth about as much as a continental, meaning it was pretty much worth
0.0.
So you have to stop the banksters. Now, look, none of these people are going to do this voluntarily. Not going to stop the military industrial. They're not just going to walk away and go, okay, uncle, we give. Uncle, we give. They're not just going to walk away and quit. That's just not in their nature. You have to make them quit. Insolvency in that manner, from that point of view, would solve some of this. Because if you did go insolvent, then the debts would all be wiped off. But what if the federal government just told everyone that was holding T-bills, I'm sorry, you're not going to get your money? Well, if you're a retiree and your mutual fund or your pension invested in treasury notes, you're screwed. You see, this is why the whole thing is left afloat. Because they've intertwined all this and they know if somebody proposes a solution like me, they know that they know what the answer is going to be. Can you phase these things out? Again, see the church plan for Social Security. If they had done what I suggested that they do in 2010, we'd be 16 years into the fix. And again, imagine 16 years worth of young people or middle-aged people not paying and employers not having to match Social Security FICA contributions. You do know that if an employer takes, just say, $100 out of your check every week, he's got to kick in $100 too, in this usury racket that we call Social Security. So you have to fix that. All these things have to be fixed. CrusadeChannel.com/chat. You could cut all the foreign aid out, but I think that the biggest part of the foreign aid that you cut out is you cut out foreign entanglements. You bring all the troops home, all of them. Well, we had these forward bases here. Well, you know what? The South Koreans are going to have to fend for themselves. So are the Japs. So are the Krauts. So are the Guineas. They'll handle it. They'll be fine. What is the instability? Sucks to be you. There's an ocean between me and you. Not my problem. But we have to defend them, KKD. No, we don't. So, yeah, in the foreign entanglements, if you win the foreign entanglements, and then can I ask the question, why is it American policy that American industrialists can sell weapons of mass destruction to foreign countries, but they can't sell it to you? If making munitions is such a grand business venture, and I'm not saying that making self-defense munitions isn't, well, why can't I buy them then? How come the Saudi Arabians can buy a super high-tech jet fighter? Nobody else can. 844-527-8723. Call and line telephone number 844-5-CRUSADE. You do have one that you can play that's not about digital media file number 6. Brandon Gill, mass migration is the greatest threat to America. You have to bring this to an end. Require American identification for hiring any job in every state. Now, I think that the states have to do this. I don't want a real ID. I don't want a federal system. I only need a federal system for a passport to leave the United States. I don't need a federal ID to do anything between Louisiana and Texas. But what about working? Well, as long as you can provide. And look, isn't this funny? One of the pieces of information that I had to provide to MyPillow.com before they would let me do ads and agree to pay me? a W-9. And then when you sign your W-9, you certify that you are an American citizen. And there's a box you got to check there. Some people say, and you're going to need your W-9, and they'll give you the form to prove that you're a citizen. If you do that, and then you repatriate 5 million people back into the American workforce, and you're not taking their income tax out, and you strip down this thing called the federal government, and you basically almost eliminated their ability to borrow, yet at the same time you eliminated the government's ability to borrow, now you started actually assaulting the problem. But you can't have H-1B visas, and you certainly can't have illegals. Play number 6.
So if I were to ask you, Congressman, what do you feel like is the greatest threat to America? And I gave you a menu of options that included mass migration, the rise of Islamism, or this self-defeating philosophy that's taken over much of the highly educated, downwardly mobile white people in America, this embrace of socialism. What would be your answer?
You know, obviously all three of those are major threats to the country. If you had to nail it down, though, I would certainly say mass migration. That is the one thing that touches every single part of American life.
True.
If you ask yourself, you know, why are wages being suppressed? Why are rents very high? Why, whenever I go to the doctor's office or to the hospital, do I have to wait for 3 hours? All of that is driven by mass migration. Ask yourself, why are we seeing a decline in the economic viability of America's social institutions? Why are our roads less safe? All of that is driven by mass migration. However, it does another thing, too, though. I think that mass migration creates a political environment, and the left knows this, that they believe is conducive to them winning elections, not only importing a new electorate, but also creating an environment where it's easy to divide Americans against each other. And that's something the left has done pretty aggressively over the past several years.
Every political party pretty much divides the electorate these days. I don't think that the leftards have cornered the market on that. And mass migration ought to be a thing that's in the history books. We ought to be reading about it. Oh, remember back in the day when we had mass illegal immigration? Yeah, we fixed that one, didn't we? What else? Yeah, there's a story that, and again, you can stop insane things. Remember back in the early days of the Trump administration, I was asking the question of, well, how did this federal judge claim the authority that he could do this, he could tell the executive branch to stop doing this? Lawfare is a real thing. But lawfare isn't just lawfare that is used to drive public affairs because you can threaten someone with being sued. Lawfare also causes things to not be done. Because you go ask somebody, how come you're not making this anymore? Because I want to get sued. Well, how did they make that? Because the lawyers make the laws. So it's one of the things that you could put on the list to fix. Some people call it tort reform. There ought to be just sunsets. Every legislature in the land ought to have, when they pass any act, it doesn't matter what it is or what it's for, ought to have a life to it. Do you realize how stupid this is? You don't pass an act and go like, okay, well, this is only going to be good for 2 years. You have to renew it every 2 years. I mean, they have to do it with the NDAA and the Patriot Act, but because it's Congress, they don't really consider the ramifications of what they're doing. If you had to do it inside your state every 2 years and it costs money, there's a very good chance that there would be a revolt of some sort, and it probably wouldn't get renewed. So then why aren't all acts that affect the body, the people, the body politic, and the people's affairs and finances, why aren't they all deliberately sunset? Well, because they don't want to sunset them. We just want to keep adding to it. Well, no. if you had them all sunsetting, unless you're talking about something like that's a public, serious, real public safety, and you actually have to have it, you should sunset everything. It ought to have an expiration date on it. And if it did that, you would have all manner of laws. Well, I'm just going to wait until I am lobbying against this, insert law here, and against its renewal, and we're rallying people together, and we think we're going to kill it, and it's not going to get renewed. And then you'll be able to build that house, or you'll be able to manufacture this, or transport that, or whatever the case may be. So how do you fix this? All right. Just gave you a half a dozen things. The rest of you can noodle on. If news breaks out today, we will break in. Tomorrow is Free Phone Friday, and I hope you'll call the show. By the way, I sent the shout out a couple times today, and I got
0.
That's okay.
0.0.
Donate to the Crusade Radio Guild's nonprofit fundraising for the month of August. Go to crusadechannel.com/donate. crusadechannel.com/donate. And thank you very much in advance. Shop in the store at shop.mikechurch.com. Visit our client sponsors, including Revelation Gold Group at MikeChurch.com/gold. MikeChurch.com/gold. Don't forget the Trinity Cooking with the King Dude Spices. Shop.MikeChurch.com. My gourmet blended coffee, Capuchin Holy Roast, again, shop.MikeChurch.com. And all the other great stuff that's in the Dude Gear store at shop.MikeChurch.com. Your memberships, you can upgrade today. Upgrade to a higher level. That helps the Red, White, and Dude Nation. Or if you're not a member, you're listening to a preview, you should join today. Strike a blow against the Malachian Satanic Media. Go to MikeChurch.com/join. Today is the feast of, he's a Jesuit. Birchmans. St. John Birchmans in the Dormition of Our Lady. Of course, some other God. Always we ask her, Ora Pro Nobis, pray for us. Have a safe and blessed remainder of your day. God bless you all and Mary keep you. See you tomorrow for Free Phone Friday.
He's got the truth on his side. The liberals can run, but they'll never hide. He's a friend of Mr. Madison as he fights all leftisms. He supports our troops over there, stands up to the kooks from care. He's the king dude of the nation of dude. Red, white, and dude.